Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Their Side. Very fortunate today to be able to interview Steve Gioia, who's here. He's also got his mate Stuart, or Chippy, as we've just learned he's called, and we don't know why. Thanks for joining us again for another episode. They're really getting to be really good, the episodes here. Last one, Junior Penne, awesome one. Thanks for joining us again. So we're just going to jump straight into it today with Steve. Obviously, we're going to hear about Steve's skateboarding. Steve's a local in Melbourne, and a lot of people know him. Good guy, all around general good guy, I reckon.
Debatable.
Bit sus. Steve, before we get into talking about your skateboarding, mate, what were you doing before then? What was life before skateboarding?
I was living in Box Hill North, and I was doing a lot of team sports. I did soccer and football and cricket, and most Aussie guys do, But I played soccer for a good period of time. Played like 5-6 years and played regional and trained with like Victorian side a couple of times and this and that. But yeah, as soon as I found skateboarding, skateboarding was soccer was a distant memory.
Yeah. So you were pretty proficient at the other sports?
I was reasonable at soccer.
Yeah.
I was just a player for football. I wasn't great, but I wasn't shit either. It was just there.
And did your family kind of encourage you to play traditional sports and stuff first, or?
My family, just whatever I got into was, they were pretty probably the most non-supportive for skateboarding, to be honest.
Your family were?
Yeah, because it was. I think they just didn't really understand it. It was kind of more.
Yeah.
I was off fucking about, really. You know what I mean? It wasn't like it was a real sport, but in reality, we were training and doing more than we were doing as a team sport,
So on the skateboard, you'd spend more time? Totally.
Yeah, the second that it was light, we were out skateboarding. The second that, it got dark, then we went home. It was, I was obsessed.
Tell us about the first time you actually got on a skateboard.
Okay, the first time I got on a skateboard was in Box Hill North. Me and my friend, we had, like the banana boards. We had I had a fiberglass one. I had like a Formula One car on it, and I went looking for that. I know I've got it somewhere, but I don't know where it is.
Plastic?
No, fiberglass.
Fiberglass, okay.
Yeah, he had a plastic one. And we lived in Medway Street in Box Hill North, which was quite a steep street. And we would run up and down the street and try and knock each other off. And it was probably pretty brutal. You'd come off on the concrete and you'd rip your legs up and all that. And down near where it goes into the flats, we would put a bunch of dirt. And then we would do the big skid on the thing. Nice. And we'd run around. And we would literally do this for 3-4 hours, and we'd just be chasing each other, or once one fell off. And
were you standing on the board or sitting on it?
No, we were sitting at that stage.
Yeah, okay.
Kind
of like coffin run sort of thing.
Yeah. But just trying to basically take each other out, and we're just laughing and But there was some good carnage. Like he knocked me once into a letterbox that was a brick letterbox.
Oh, bonus points.
Split my shin open. I took him out once, and he took all his leg, like pretty much from there to there, all.
Nice.
Because you got some good speed on that hill. It was good fun. But we did stand on the boards too, but it was secondary. We just loved doing that. It was good fun.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, then how did it kind of progress from there? How did you get into skating from there? So we went from banana boards to these kind of big boards?
Yeah. Year 7, my family decided to move to Forest Hill. So we packed up and moved. I stayed at my school in Box Hill, but we moved to Forest Hill, and one of the guys that I played soccer with, Paul Brown and Andrew Brigginshaw, they both skateboarded and sort of got into it from there, and we'll learn about, the bowls and things like that. But they were also playing soccer, so it was those last few years of soccer. I think it was the last year that we were playing, they had the cones set up and stuff, and us three were running around, we're doing method airs over the cones, and, we're booting the balls far away so we could do as many skate moves, like what we were thinking. And we just went, why the fuck are we doing this? We're obviously more into skateboarding than we are this. So.
Penny dropped and that was it.
Yeah, the first board, which is that one, I bought that from the Caribbean market. I was working at a butcher shop, cleaning butcher shops and that, which I did for a great, amount of time. And it cost $60 from Caribbean market.
Yep.
I think I had like 45. Dad gave me the other 15, and I got hooked on that. And
this is your original board?
That's
original. Amazing. You've still got it.
That was in a box up in the attic, and and never got thrown out and never got sold because, let's face it, who's going to want to buy a shitboard like that?
Probably someone would buy it now because it
Now
might have
they
been
would.
someone else's first board as well, I think.
Well, I have seen on ASC that the Mad Skull boards, there's been 3 or 4 people and we're all going, oh yeah, that was our first ones, yeah.
I
What
like
were the wheels like though? Like, were they fast? 'Cause when I got mine from Trash and Treasure.
Yeah, what was yours?
It was like, I don't know name, but like it was so slow. Like I'd be skating with my friends, they'd go down the street and I'd have to push. I'd be pushing still, trying to catch up to it.
The
Yeah.
bearings were terrible.
Terrible
Yeah.
bearings.
And they were like plasticky.
Like, I had fake grip tape as well. Like,
Yeah, like that.
Oh no, mine was actually just like plastic. It just had the colour of grip tape.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, as you can see, I mean, when that wears off, it's just
plastic.
it was almost anti-grip tape, you know, so.
It's a nice thickness, that. It's nice. It's like almost like marine ply. It's it's big,
but worse.
but worse. So that was what you started learning on?
Yep.
Yeah. How did it progress from there? Did you get any shit and stuff at school for being a skateboarder or any hassles?
Oh, initially there was, I went to Box Hill Tech. There was a lot of ethnics. I'm an ethnic, or a WOG or whatever they want to call.
That's for this purposely, if you call them wogs, Steve.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah, that's fine. I'm good with it because I'm from an Italian background and got called WOG pretty much from prep to up to year 9, if people even realised that I was, And at my school, my cousin was there and she was 2 or 3 years older, and the WOGs would be, oh hey fucking skeg, and give me a lot of shit, and then I think a month or 2 went by and my cousin's like, that's my cousin. He's actually got an Italian background. And then they were all, oh yeah. And I was like, fuck off. You guys are still jerks, you know what I mean?
Nice.
And then also too, there was bogans at our school and they were the same. They call any skateboarder a skeg. And it wasn't until about year 8 or year 9 I went to, when Slayer first came out, and I went to Festival Hall and checked them out. And it was probably a few years down actually around that, but the first time Slayer came out, and this big dude, battle jacket and all that.
Battle jackets. Love battle jackets.
The rollers, the whole 9 yards.
I'm from Ballarat. That's just like the go-to costume in Ballarat in those days. It was, keep going.
Yeah, no, but
Fucking
so he
rollers.
goes, oh, what are you doing here, Skeg? And I said, I've been in Slayer for a long time, I love it, and started talking about music with him, and he's like, said, have you heard of this band and that? And started mentioning Black Flag and a few more sort of punk sort of things, sort of aiming him in a direction. He goes, no, I haven't heard of it. And I went home and that week I made him a mixtape of like punk and sort of stuff like DRI, SOD, stuff that, sort of more thrashier stuff that he would dig.
Yeah.
And from then on I was like, the Bogans were like, oh yeah, he's cool. Yeah,
He's
cool.
all right.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
that was good. My school was pretty good, had a really bad name.
Did it?
Shocking name. But generally it wasn't. If you wanted to get an education, you didn't go to that school.
I went to a tech school too.
Yeah.
Look how far we got.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's go into when you started to skate ramps and stuff, yeah?
Okay.
Or did you start doing street skating first, or did you start skating
Yeah,
ramps?
it was just, initially I just, I learnt the basics, your tic-tac, your 360s and all that.
Crab
And that
walk.
Yeah.
Power slide.
Yeah, all that stuff, and just in your driveway and that, and your mates would come over and you'd try it with them and stuff. And then at that time, there was the Early Bird show, and Daryl Cotton and Marie and all that, and Marty Monster, and they had a skateboard competition, and a good way to get a better board than this was to go on the Early Bird show, and a lot of the crew that I know did that, So I went on it, and I was fortunate enough the first time to win, which I don't think I actually did win, to be fair. I went through the cones, came back and went up the ramp, and there was like a little wedge ramp at the end, and I dropped the nose over. I made it clean, but it just didn't look very good like when I watched it on camera. And then the guy after me, he did a fairly clean run. He didn't go as high on the quarter pipe.
Right.
But yeah, they gave me a thing, and that's the Chaos board.
Oh, wow. Can you pull that out and show people?
Yeah. So the Chaos board was my first sort of semi-decent board. And from there, that's when I started skating bowls. I started skating first place transition thing I skated was Nuttawatting pipes.
Oh, yeah. We've got a picture of Nuttawatting pipes we'll chuck up in the feed.
Yep,
Yeah.
cool. And
can you just tell us what they look like, though?
Nuttawatting pipes was basically you sort of cut pipe, a rockler pipe.
Yeah.
It was cut. It was 5-foot transition from memory. They had a section that was a third at the end that was like 2 sections. Then it would go into the half pipe section. The oververt section, then a half pipe section, then another oververt section.
It's all pretty tight.
It was really
Crazy
tight. And yeah, that was great. But like when I first went to sort of, and like then I went to Ringwood Bowl and Bulleen Bowl and stuff. And to me, you had to sort of turn and go down like sort of thing. When I first went to a half pipe, which I think was Ben Pedersen's ramp, which was at the Lundy, I think it was about 8 or 12 foot wide. I think it was 8 foot wide actually. And I was just like, had no idea. Like I was going, well, without dropping in, how the fuck do I get speed in this thing? So, and yeah, and I was with my mate John Order, who was one of the first guys that skated around my area that I knew who also played soccer. And yeah, he took me there and yeah, he goes, oh, you got a pump and this and yeah. That was the first sort of taste of a ramp skate that I ever had, but I didn't get to the old blue ramp, which was what we called the first Vermont ramp. I think for about a few months later, and it was I knew about it, but it was a lot of the Emmaus College guys and a lot of the crew then, like I didn't know too well, so it was a bit daunting to go there. But I went with my mate John, who was at that school. And
there was a bit of a funny setup with that too. Like you had to pay, didn't you? Like, and where was it located?
It was located in Eleanor Road in Vermont South. It was next to Fab, who is Uncle Rocco, the barber, who's actually in Port Melbourne as well. Who I lived with for years later on. He's a great guy. But yeah, it was next to his house. And when you went there, like, because we were stealing ply and wood and whatever.
Just you. There's no one else.
No, I said we.
Oh, okay. Sorry, does that mean like
Please pay attention.
It was Grant and Dean Samet and their mum as well?
No, they probably were stealing ply too. I think
they're definitely stealing ply. We've had a whole episode about it.
Yeah, stealing ply was pretty much rife around all the skaters at that time, and I mean that was when the building sites didn't have, cameras and fences and stuff, and it was pretty much a free for all. But yeah, we basically would skate that ramp, and if you joined up there, you paid, I think it was $20, and that would pay for like a sheet of ply so that we could, we didn't actually have to steal one, you know what I mean? So, and there was probably 20 or 30 people that skated there regularly. And yeah, by the time I actually started there was some really good skateboarders already.
So who was there?
Justin Bakaitis was a really good skateboarder at that stage. Ashley Course, Chris Alexander, the Drury brothers, Brad and Chris. Michael Haining and his brother Chris. So many people.
What sort of shit were they busting out when
I first got there? The first things that really blew me away were inverts. I saw Justin doing an invert, Chris Drury doing eggplants. Little airs. Ben Pedersen was doing airs back then. I'm just trying to think of all the names of the people.
You're doing really well.
Yeah, but there was a good crew, and it was a really good place to go. And like you would go there every day, and there was someone there. But initially, I would go there at sort of before everyone would get there, because I was quite embarrassed by
Were you dropping in at that stage? Or?
Oh no, fuck no. That was a long.
Really?
Yeah,
There's a story to dropping in too, isn't there? How you got to do it.
See, I was a chicken shit because I was afraid of heights. So initially to get over my fear of heights, I went to like pools and that, and like just jumped off diving boards until it didn't become so scary. I mean, even to this day, I probably don't like heights as much as I think. Yeah. But they don't petrify me like they used to. I used to go over an overpass bridge and I'd be fucking
really.
Yeah. So skating was pretty fucking.
Never knew that.
And so yeah, when I got ready to drop in, we were putting, I think it was me and a few other guys, we'd nail a block into the ramp and drop in off it, like, halfway through. And it got to a point where we were dropping in that far underneath. It was so hard to balance on this little timber.
It's quite a cool idea, really, when you think about it. I mean, apart from totally routing the ramp by fucking punching holes through it.
Oh, you've seen pictures of the ramp?
We're going to put up some pictures of the ramp, actually. Yeah, there's some pictures of the ramp. The construction is probably best seen on the picture over there, actually.
Yeah.
On the side of it, it just looks like shit's just nailed left, right, and centre all over. It looks like a shack. It
was-
looks like a beach shack or something.
Well, it was built like a shack, and
Yeah.
underneath we had a cubby house, and Darren Unsgaard used to.
There you go.
I mean, they used to smoke bongs and stuff under. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, legal stuff.
Crazy stuff.
But yeah,
So how long was that ramp around for, Steve?
I reckon it would have had to been at least 2-3 years.
Yeah.
At the end of it, like when they said that the road was coming through, we cut it down to I think about 3/4, and we had a little mini ramp. Then we didn't have coping on it or anything. And back then there was no mini ramp, so it was just like it was amazing. We were going,
Yeah, right.
wow, we actually got to skate a mini ramp. You know?
That's cool.
So
And then there's some other ramps. So where was that one again? That was in
that was in Vermont South.
Vermont South. And then what happened? What was the next ramp after that?
Then basically, one of the guys got caught stealing ply at, I can't remember, it was somewhere around the local area anyway. And he got some community hours and he had to do at the community centre. And we went to this community centre because, I mean, fuck, we're all guilty of doing it. And he had, I think, 100 hours or something like that. So we all turned up and we said, you know, is there any chance that if we all chip in, because we're all guilty of it, even if we weren't caught that time, you know? And the woman, Margaret Banks, which she's in that advertisement, in that clipping, she said, oh, that's amazing. You guys are all, you know, got each other's backs. And,
That's cool.
yeah, and so she helped us from that day on to petition the council. And then where the new ramp actually ended up, the community house was next to it. And Margaret Banks, like, as you know, she would leave out the power
and everything. Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah, and like pretty much the whole time she would always help us out. You know, I ran a comp down there, and she said, "Oh, you know, we'll do a fete at the same time, and you'll get a bunch of people that wouldn't see it." And I went,
Yeah.
that's a great idea.
So really community sort of orientated
She
lady
was-
and champion for you guys.
Oh,
which
she
is-
was awesome. She helped so much, and there was nothing that sort of, you know, I mean, she left the community house with the lead hanging out so that we could have music anytime we wanted.
That's awesome, isn't it? That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's good. I think, you know, from my days back in Ballarat when ramps and stuff were coming up as well, there was always someone like a youth worker or a counsellor or someone. We used to have a guy called Brendan, I think his name was, and he was like the guy who you'd go to put on like blue light discos or put on sort of, you know, like sort of those music things where you have bands come to, like we had Spider Bait and we had Cosmic Psychos and stuff like that come play, you know. But he was the youth worker you'd go through, which was awesome.
There's always one that's sort of, that's in your
Gem.
corner, yeah.
And I think like some of the other people we've interviewed as well, they've talked about sort of whether they're kind of like church places, or Zach was talking about different places as well, I think, where you know, people would help out with ramps and stuff. So
yeah.
So that campaign that she helped you guys sort of get up and going, did that lead to something that led to?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I mean, the initial thing, it was they had that clipping. They had a little community newsletter, and I've got that somewhere at home. And it was just a brief thing saying, you know, the boys want to get this done. They've had this ramp for so many years. You know, just looking for support, which was great. You know, because we didn't ask her to help with any of it. But she was always doing it, and then we eventually got the ramp at the Vermont South Shopping Centre. And from there, we had a really unusual arrangement at that place because we had to initially have membership. Like the council made us.
Funny, so to go buy your little pass.
And then we'd be, like, we'd have a little, you know,
like a skate park
well, you could only get a year. Was it a year membership? But I was paying day by day.
Yeah, you could pay day by day.
How much did you pay day by day?
I think it was $2 or something. Yeah,
$2. Okay.
Yeah.
And we would get Brad to like hit up, you know, like if Gregor or Lee came up, and I'm like, oh, fuck it, I'm not asking these guys. Go, Brad, that's your job.
Pay $2.
Yeah. So and you
Oh,
know,
so you get Brad to hit the pros up for money. Yeah, right. Okay.
And you know what? They were cool with, like, it was never, and no one ever said, no, I'm not fucking paying. I mean, the people did occasionally say that. They were dudes that were young and that, and said, why should we be paying? I sort of agree on it, but we were all paying, I think it was, what, $20 membership a year?
Yeah, I can't remember what it was.
That's pretty good, isn't it? Yeah.
Or $2 a day.
And Saturdays was like what was the grommet day? Was it like half,
to 12 o'clock
something? Yeah,
like
so you used to get
$1.
to play without you guys skate.
Yeah.
So only young kids could skate in the morning or something?
Yeah, all the starters, I think. So we got
Yeah.
a decent run of not having to worry about everyone dropping in, and so we'd all be starting from the bottom. And
And we had Johnny Denver and that there as a grommet for years, didn't we?
Oh, who's Johnny
Remember
Denver?
Johnny Denver? He I don't know. Someone said he looked vaguely like Johnny Denver.
Does he have a John Denver haircut or glasses?
I don't reckon he looked like Johnny Denver at all. But
Rocky Mountain High, he was like, yeah.
He became Johnny Denver. So
Okay, that's
same way that Billy got his nickname.
Oh, yeah. It sticks.
He got a a haircut that looked like Billy Idol.
Yeah.
Like one haircut. And everyone called him Billy.
I wonder who was behind that, Steve. Was it you, maybe?
It wasn't me.
It wasn't? That's interesting.
No,
Who's giving out all these nicknames? Is it Brad just sitting in the...
We've just come to the conclusion that Brad gave you your nickname, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So...
Unfortunate.
No, it was actually good. Actually got me some status.
All right.
I was like, at least
when
like no one knew everyone's name, the young kids. So
is this around about the same time, Stu, that you met Steve? Around about when we're talking about now?
Yeah.
When did you first meet him? What was?
So it would have been when Vermont first got built. So 88.
Yeah.
So I just started coming up, just watching them. So we were just starting from the bottom and getting.
Were you going to the grommet sessions on Saturday morning?
Yeah.
Nice.
So I had to tie that in with basketball, which sucked. I couldn't wait to quit basketball so I could just skate all the time.
Were you doing method airs in basketball as well and some wall rides?
I didn't have that imagination. I was just sticking straight to the skating.
So what was Steve doing when you first met him?
Well, I just remember him doing heaps of tricks. Like he had a massive bag. I remember.
He's got a massive bag.
Huge.
Still.
Yeah, he's got a massive bag. You ask him if he's done a trick, he's done it. So,
such lies.
Yeah, like I just remember you were doing a lot of the things I always wanted to do. So like fast plant to fakies, all those sort of things. Inverts to fakies. Like you just done some, you were doing crazy things. So we just watch them. But you obviously you watch the guys like if you saw Tony Helen or Jug were doing the massive airs.
Oh, Tony Helen was crazy back then.
Yeah, he used to watch. There was always two we used to see that used to go the highest. And you go, wow.
Yeah, and they just would, like the runs that Tony would link there, like, his warm up run, I'd just be like dumbfounded,
Yeah, right.
Because Tony was one of the first. Him and Alan Lacey were the first sort of pros that I saw.
Of course. Yeah.
Ever. Like Alan Lacey was at the Moomba thing.
Yeah.
And that was outrageous, And
Which is 86, is it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yep.
Yeah, the Big M thing.
Big M ramp.
And I got to meet Alan last year at the Combi pool party.
Yeah, cool.
And I got chatting to him about that, and obviously the fundraiser that you ran and stuff. And just a lovely guy, and he's got a lot of time for Australia,
he's got really fond memories of Australia, I think.
Yeah,
for him.
Because he did like the city demos and stuff, which I got some photos of, and and Tony Hallam was. Tony Hallam was going 6 foot on that ramp, and that ramp was a piece of shit, 7 feet,
The Big M ramp.
Yeah, like the one that they had, the Veriflex ramp on the like at the city square.
Yeah.
Would move around, and it wasn't a great ramp.
Boxy, yeah.
Yeah, but they destroyed it, so.
Very good. Now, listen, I know that you met some other dudes at the Blue Ramp as well. You met Brad and Chris and Justin Bacardis and all that.
Yep.
What about the Bio Boys?
Yeah, well, and when I first went to the ramp, the first time that I went there was was one of the skate comps that was there.
Mm-hmm. And Justin took you, I think.
No, John Audu.
John Audu, so
yeah. So I went there with John, and I was gonna join up that day, and it was just like there was just a wad of people, like fucking 100 people, which was I'm like I stayed in the court and just watched the sort of the end of the comp from the thing, and when I actually started, I think it was like a week or two after, paid the money, and I was the new guy that, and they're like, where you from, and all this sort of stuff. But they were still talking about the comp a lot, and they were talking about these two guys, the Bio Boys. Mm-hmm. And I was like, Bio Boys, or whatever, And it was Luke Foster and Andrew Davidson. And Davo used to get Burford blanks.
Yep.
And he had, because he was a sign writer, and he would screen these boards, Team Bio and all that. No, but they look cool, and they had their own team, and Marty Foster, Luke's brother, would also ride them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they're kind of like an enigma until the new ramp started. Like I'd heard about them, I've seen them once at Vermont at the Bold Blue, and I was just like, these guys can skate. And then the first time, when the ramp opened up, I'm not sure if you were there with the chain. And
I remember the chain, but I didn't see.
And Luke did a frontside rock, I think it was, or was it just a regular rock? I don't know. I don't know if the GST's been added on. It was
Have you embellished the story?
Yeah.
Hey, listen, if it's worth
Go
doing,
with the frontside rock. That sounds better.
So it was. I mean, even with the chain on, to do a rock and roll was crazy.
So where was the chain? Was it across the flat
across
or
the flat.
diagonally across it?
No, just directly across it. And Luke would
Big chain?
ride down and we were doing like how you pump over like little bumps in the thing. And he would do
Bonk
that.
over it sort of there.
And just keep getting higher and higher. And then I think it was a frontside ride.
So he was either way. He did
amazing.
something on the ramp, on the coping, and then came across the chain, which is pretty gnarly.
The thing, did
Yeah, and I was
great.
like, when I saw that, and this was, I sort of just met him, and I just thought, this guy's no joke, and even to this day, he's no joke. He's fucking incredible.
Yeah,
skateboarder.
and you're good mates with Luke, aren't you?
Yeah, one of my best friends. So,
Which is awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. So, yeah, really good.
To the observant viewer out there, you may notice that our settings slightly changed a little bit. We've had to move studios in the middle of taping this. So good on you for those who were able to spot the difference. We've tried to make the set look just the same. All the props, 3 very attractive men in it. Okay, so where we're at. Steve, comps.
Comps, yeah.
Did you go in comps?
I did go in a few comps. I didn't go in as many as like a lot of people did, but because a couple of reasons. Back then I was also shit scared of comps and I get really nervous. But I also did work a lot. Like I was doing a butcher shop cleanup job. Like I mentioned before in the other room, Brad Drury and Chris they nicknamed me Paul Robinson because I was like a workaholic back then. After school and all that, I'd be doing like 3 or 4 nights a week. So skating, like I would fit in where I could, but a lot of times I had to work Saturdays. That was, a given. And that's when the comps were held. So I missed a few comps and stuff like that. But the ones that I did go in, I did okay in. I choked in a few too. There was a Finn's Koga one down Croydon and I ended up winning that one. I was about 14, 15. And just before that comp, I actually just remember this when we walked over, that there was a street set up too. There was street comp, and there was a jump ramp. And just before I thought, I'll hit that jump ramp up, and I didn't want to just not, just go over it. I thought I'll try and do it like a normal one. It was a bit whippier than normal, and I ended up on my back and winded the shit out of myself. And I was almost not going to go in the comp, but I was pretty winded, and then. And 10 minutes later I was okay, but yeah, that was...
H-up spat you out.
It spat the shit out of me, and you know the feeling when you're in the air and you know it's going to hurt, and...
Everything slows down.
Yeah, and you're just waiting, yeah, so that was that, and one of the Vermont comps, I think I choked pretty bad, and I think I got like 7th or 8th or something like that, and there wasn't that many people in the comp back then.
So disappointed with your kind of performance?
I was trying to go, like as high as I could and things like that, and I just kept on bailing, and it sort of escalates. I think anyone who's gone in a comp, if I like to get 1 or 2 runs in so that you don't have that full pressure, you know.
Got that breathing room.
Yeah, and then you can actually skate like you normally skate,
Yeah, have some fun with it.
Yeah, whereas if the first one you choke and then the second one you choke, then there's a hell of a lot of pressure.
Yeah, if you fall off in your first run, that's it. You go, the next one you're panicking.
And you get in your own head, don't you?
Did you go on a lot of comps as well, Stu?
Yeah, I went in a fair few.
Yeah?
Yeah. Just Vermont comps and everywhere actually. Mornington,
you did
big comps.
was it the X Games and stuff?
Yeah.
Or
the tryouts. We went down for the X Games, but we got rained out every day. And the Warp Tour, I came second in that. And
Chipmunk was a powerhouse.
Really?
Wasn't a powerhouse.
He was very fucking good.
Very good.
No. He was.
Did you used to get the spooks as well? Did you used to get the spooks as well?
I felt it. I remember the first comp I ever went in was like what I've been maybe 12 or something, and Vermont, and I was packing.
Yeah.
And it was so busy on the platform. The sessions were so big you couldn't even get a practice run.
Yeah.
So I went in. I think they gave me one. I think everyone stopped for me to do one practice run, and I just did a couple kick turns, and then went in the comp. I think I fell off everything. It was like just rebate, push. Like I think someone cheered me for doing, where you start from the bottom, you do that step up to push yourself fast. Like, that was my trick.
And I think that can be super snaky as well, can't they? Like the warming up bits and.
Oh yeah, and I mean it was super snaky in the Vermont days back in.
Jug would come from the other side of the platform and just go boom.
Yeah, he would
And
like
you go,
be 2 steps behind, and he'd just go boom.
Who's this?
Justin McItis.
I think you told me about him.
Yeah, and well, even at the old blue ramp, when it was, I was ground snaking, and I was trying to think, he wasn't having any of the ground snaking. It was just like, no, you're fucking dropping in or you're not getting any sort of respect, which I love Jug. Like, Jug's one of my best mates, but fuck, I thought he was a jerk back in the day. Yeah.
Just because of that, just not letting you have a go.
I was just like, I'm like, everyone else is like thing, and he was just, and he had that grin on his face, the Jug grin, like, no, if you're ground snaking, you ain't getting it up here.
Tough, absolutely tough.
That was hard, because especially like the way I dropped in, I'd have to hold the nose and really
the same.
concentrate.
Well, it's not much different now for me.
So, I think I asked you during the week. I said, so when was a golden era of skating for you?
Yeah, I think when we talked about, what would we say, like sort of 88 to 92 or something like that. Look, there was, the Vermont sessions at that stage, and but there was also, we skated elsewhere, but we were prominently vert skateboarders. We'd skate Vermont every night. Occasionally we'd go down to Knox, and I remember going down to Knox we'd always go down in a group. We skated as a group. If we could wrangle into a car, like me and Chippy, like we're being younger, like to get in a car, it was like a pecking order, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, I'd end up in the boot every time.
But look at him now. You put him in the boot now, would you?
He is the boot.
Still in the boot.
So and like we'd go down to Knox, and I remember the Knox sessions, and we used to go down, and it was only the first sort of the bowl that was built at that stage, and they were skating at like a half pipe, and we'd go down, and to be me, Davo, Luke, Hoss, Chippy, Brad and Chris, Mick Powell, all those crew, and we'd come down and we'd snake through the bowl and like
in succession,
and pretty much fuck their whole session, And there was kind of like, it was a friendly rivalry. Like, I talked to Efi about it the other day. He was like, he thought it was funny. There was a few guys that didn't find it so funny, but
so who was the Knox crew then?
Knox crew, to me, was like Matt Nance, Andy Young, Efi, Frad. All good blokes, like they down the track, like I did a lot of snowboarding too, and we snowboarded in a group called Team Allride. We would all sleep at the bottom of Mount Buller. Yeah. And like there was 30 or something, and we'd all sleep at the bottom and blow shit up, we'd take aerosol cans and butane bombs and just, good fun stuff.
Good fun. Like a few of us are blinded, but it's good fun.
Oh, it was funny actually. One of the times we put the butane in there and it ripped through, I think, Andy's tent. We woke up in the morning, there was bits of metal like stuck in the tree. There was, we would get all the steel-o wool and we tie that all together with thing and we'd light it on fire because that, the pink stuff there.
Yeah.
And we had steel-o volleyball. In the mornings, Luke would get up and decide he was going to swim in the creek, which had ice all over it, which, Luke did some good shit back in there,
So you're always blowing stuff up. Like, I remember that from the early ramp parties.
Yeah,
it was always like chlorine bombs, and it was like just lighting up the sky. It was like, wow.
Yeah, I think blowing up, I know a lot of skateboarders that like smashing into things and blowing stuff up.
I remember that time that Luke was pouring it in and the flame, like he just and just missed his head.
Well, that just reminded me of another story, the bungee hand of death, which was, we'd have the two gardening gloves, and like Luke and Davo started this too, the Bio boys. Yeah. And you would put the stuff in and you would try and hold it as long as you can and throw it, and then it would blow up. And
like a gardening glove?
Yeah.
Like a rubber glove or?
No, just, like proper gardening glove. And, but you put two on because, safety first and all.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah. And just safety goggles and your little vest and stuff, yeah.
But and all the, ramp parties were like that, and fire walking, and because there was a Christmas party every year, and it,
Was this at the blue ramp or?
No, at the new ramp.
The new ramp, yeah.
Right. And, we had fire brigades turn up a couple of times, didn't we, to put out the fires and sort of, I don't know. It was good fun. It was just, you're away from your parents and you could just run loose for a little
Teenagers testing limits and doing weird shit, having fun.
Yeah. I mean, we used to do it down near my house too. And I had a mini bike when I was younger, and we used to go down, and I used to pour petrol underneath Springvale Road, and would go down into a Gaddock drain, like at the end, and fall into a pit, and we'd light it, and then we'd run up the hill, and then we'd watch as like the flames would sort of spit out, and like cars would like break, and then we'd bolt everywhere.
That is interesting.
Yeah, they
It's
were-
a wonder you've got your eyebrows still, or there's no serious kind of burns or.
Yeah, no, it was
Yeah.
good fun. So
Yeah, they were awesome. I was lucky because I was able to go to those things, being younger. Like Brad was like...
You had such great role models.
Well,
didn't
Brad had
you?
met my
Yeah.
family, and so they thought he was such a good character. It's like, unbeknownst to them, he was doing all this other stuff.
Brad was a menace.
He was the worst.
Parties.
Yeah.
Like, he was the one that would go, hey, let's do this.
But I got to a stage where I just say, oh, Brad's going to be there. They'd be like, okay, I'll be allowed to stay the night, So,
Yeah,
Little did they know, at all.
and we would sleep on the ramp. We'd take our sleeping bags and that. And not a lot of sleep got done, I don't think. But we'd all be there, and it'd be normally cold as at night or whatever. And I remember I know Brad wanted to fucking drop me in the shit with this, so I'll just drop myself in. But yeah, one night, I got fairly drunk and we firewalking and all that sort of business as you do. And woke up in the morning and they were all really keen to go to McDonald's, like super keen. Like I was like, oh yeah, whatever. I was pretty hungover, and we got there and went in and ordered my food. And I thought, oh, I'll go to the toilet. And walked past the thing, and pretty much my whole face is covered in like. From .05, there was Nazi symbols. There was all sorts of stuff, penises on my thing. So, well played. So yeah.
And you had no idea until you went to Macca's.
No, it was
Do you think that's what they were trying to do to get you to go out
totally,
in public?
Totally, and you know what?
Sweet.
Props to them because they did it well.
Yeah, nice. And you passed that on you did it to Efi not long ago.
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
me and Taras got Efi. We got him with mouse traps on his fingers and.
mouse traps on his fingers.
Yeah, like as you sleep.
Oh, so he wakes up and then moves?
We kind of woke up, but I mean, I don't think it was as hard as we thought it was going to be. And Taras was getting his dogs to hump Efi's head and we're filming it. So yeah,
I'm glad you've grown up then.
I've definitely grown up.
Now, this is, we're looking at about 91 here. Yeah, you told me about trips to Adelaide.
Yeah, initially a bunch of guys came over. It was Hans, Pete. God, I'm terrible remembering names. There was a bunch of guys that came over from Adelaide. I'm sorry if I've forgotten your names. But they came over initially, and we met them, and they said, come over when and Matt Harmer and Tim Bardhole and a lot of the Lilydale guys, Chris Lilly, was it Chris Lilly?
Oh, what was his name?
Chris and Travis
Yeah.
Lilly. Yeah. And so they went over and they said, do you want to come? And I went over, and so we skated over there, and we had a ball over there. Like the first time we went over to Luke and his partner at the time were over there, and we got to skate Capo Pool, which was...
Tell us about that.
Oh, without a doubt, one of the best things I've skated. The thing, across is probably 70 odd feet.
Yeah.
It's probably about 10 feet in the deep end. There was like, stairs, a love seat. Not a love seat, like a death box, slide, diving board. And it was 3 pools that were made up. It was the main pool, which you could ride from the shallow end right around to there, and then that was like a sheer sort of wall, so there was no transition there, and it went around to where the stairs came down. Then there was like a sort of a medium sort of pool, like, probably like a medium for kids, like knee deep or something, and then there was like a proper kids pool, like shallow. And
Who did it belong to?
Well, apparently it belonged to an ex-drug dealer.
Yeah.
And then I don't know the proper story, like Sack or one of those guys or Willie or something would probably know the proper story behind it. But apparently they found out that this guy went to jail. So the guys went there, drained the pool and all that, and everything was good. Everyone was skating it. It was in a gated community, so when we first went in, you'd come down these sort of cliff faces which backed onto the beach. And when I say cliff faces, they're not like, abseiling sort of stuff, just little rocks and,
Had to scramble up them.
a bit of scrambling, and then you just come up and then you're at the pool. It was in Hallett Cove, so if anyone's out there,
Yeah. It's on Google Maps.
Yep, it's incredible. So it was a great time, and then...
Was it cement?
Yeah.
It's not tiled or anything, no?
Oh, it had tiles at the top, and then it was like a lip tile for the coping, which was great. But funny thing about that, then the following year, we went back again. The Adelaide guys then came over. Oh no, it must have been the year after. The Adelaide guys came over at Easter, and it's like 9 or something people stayed at my family's house, which was bizarre because my dad was pretty anti-skateboarding, kind of, not really into it. But to their credit, you know, like my dad was so, you know, hey, come in, boys.
Welcoming,
you know.
yeah.
Oh, you know, and like you have dinner here, you know, and like for us wogs, you know, like Easter's a big thing with dinner and all that. And all the, you know, we were living off, you know, Pizza Hut, all you can eat and stuff like that when we were over there and stuff like that. And then we were doing the same when they came over. So we had this big feast, and I've never seen all the boys get so excited, you know, like, oh yeah, food, like real
Proper food, yeah.
you know. So that was good. But then the following year when we went back to Adelaide, me and Luke and Hans and all that, we went to this rave, and it was like this, you know, I don't like rave music or anything like that, but it was the first, like, what you would describe the old style sort of rave.
Like a warehouse party or something.
Yeah, it was on like a pirate radio. They said where the directions were. You went to this place, it was a corner, and a person came up, and like there was like literally 200-300 people by that stage on this corner, and it's like, you know, then someone came over and goes, go down the road.
So this is before Pokemon Go, so there wasn't just people having like Pokemon Go wars.
It was a gym, yeah, it was a Pokemon gym. Yeah. And so yeah, we went down to this other spot, and then you get more directions, and then we found this warehouse. And funnily enough, it was a place that Hans and Pete and all that used to take ramps to, and had an indoor setup.
Yeah.
So when we first got there, we're walking around looking at the white floor, and you're going, yeah, look, that's where the ramp was, and you could see all the marks and all that. And yeah, that night was the first time that I'll just say that I did some. You know, mind-altering substances with Luke. And yeah, so, and then at the end of the night, I sort of said to Luke, okay, do you reckon you know where that pool is? And he was like, yeah, I think I do. So we did the shame run out there, like I think Luke was driving, I think, and we parked way out, and I know we taxied it, I think. And we got there and it was full of water. So we went around and we was like, well, obviously someone's living here. And we snuck in, got down to our boxes, just swam in the pool a bit, and looking down, you could still see marks on the pool, and had a ball. And I know we're there about 4 a.m. We didn't leave till about 6. By the end, we were doing bombs off the diving board, sliding down the thing. I've actually got pictures of me sliding down the slide, and Luke and me doing bombs. And the lights came on a few times, and they didn't come out. They just.
There's some lunatics in our pool at 4 o'clock in the morning. I am no way going out there.
Yeah, I think so. And we were, you know, I've still got some very, very funny pictures, and we, you know, had our boards, and we're, you know, pretending we're doing frontside airs by the side of the pool, and you know, it was just, yeah, it was good times.
Good trip.
Yeah, great trip.
Literally.
Yeah.
Okay, Vert. Now I just said an interesting thing to you before. I said that was me.
Yes.
Said something about Vert dying, and you said Vert never died, and you went like that.
Yeah.
Which was very funny. But there was a period where maybe it wasn't so popular.
Yep.
And what was happening back in Melbourne then, in Vermont? And with you guys?
Well, Vermont, like when I said, you know, Vert never died, it really didn't die at Vermont, did it?
No, we've always skated, but
Yeah. And
we skated more street though at that time. I reckon,
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Like we would go to St Kilda Road and
Yeah, I was never good at it, but
yeah, no,
so,
you were better than me at it. So,
that's
yeah.
correct.
I mean, us, you know, a lot of us Vert guys tried to skate street,
Yeah.
you know, and it was a hard push.
Yeah.
But
Where all the
yeah.
wheels got really small, didn't it? Like we went through that phase where everyone went tiny.
Big pants, small wheels.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
I never got into the small wheels. Like I remember going all the way down to Speaky's surfing, you know, at Geelong and that.
Yeah.
Because I knew that they had 55 mil or bigger wheels.
Bigger wheels.
And I would buy, if I could find them, you know, like I think the lowest I ever went to was 52, and that was just through necessity. I just did not want to go too small.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, I've got some wheels at home. Tony Helen gave to me, like I bought off him at a swap meet, and he goes, I rode these on Vert, and I said, I'm buying those off you. And they're 42 mil.
No way.
And they're tiny. And what Tony would do on that was outrageous, you know.
Yeah. So small. I missed that whole thing. I think.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
What size did you get?
I wouldn't even know, but yeah, tiny.
Yeah.
It was
Little
yeah,
bearing
it was
cover
hard.
Yeah.
But yeah,
You'd have to push hard, wouldn't you?
yeah. Or you'd get on a rock or something and fall over. So it was, yeah.
And they flat spot like
Yeah.
flat
Like
that.
crazy.
Real
Yeah.
quick, yeah.
So you guys kept skating through that kind of quiet period, yeah? And
Yep.
what were the sessions like? Were there still
They were
loads
good.
of
I mean,
yous, or-
we had periods where people would sort of fade out and go,
Yeah.
you know. There was a period where I lived in Paran. I think that would have been, I reckon it would have been 94, 95. I lived with Fab and Mark Bacaitis, which is Justin's brother.
Yeah.
And so I was skating Paran a fair bit, and everyone, like Chip said, everyone was street skating a bit and stuff. So I catch up sometimes at Pran. I do the drive to Vermont, and then I could see my parents and have dinner and whatever. So, which, you know, at that age, you know, it was good to get a home cooked meal.
Get a real food.
Yeah.
Now, you said it was pretty fucking sus and dodgy at Paran at those days.
There was a period there where a lot of boards were getting stolen. Like people from the Housing Commission flats were just, they were coming over and stealing boards and that. And at one stage, because, you know, during the week, there wasn't a lot of people skating.
Yeah.
So me and Jason Ellis would, you know, sort of message each other or say, oh, you know, this was before mobiles. You know, I'll meet you at the ramp at 4 or whatever it was, and we'd get there, and one of us would stand on the flat, and the other one would be on the platform doing their run, and we'd swap because they were just like lurkers of dodgy cunts, basically, waiting to pinch boards. And I know Jason would mouth off to them all the time and say, "Come on," you know, like yeah. And I mean, because they stole. I think it was at least a dozen boards that were stolen from young kids at the, you know, in the bowl. And
so kids would just fall off. And they're bored to do a ghosty, and they just get them and take off.
They do it in like groups of 5 or 6. But,
yeah, right.
But when you got guys that were, you know, a little bit older, like we were probably, you know, in that era, 94, 95, I was, you know, sort of getting to 16s. Oh, I would have been older.
Early
yeah, 20 or whatever. Yeah, we weren't kind of having that. We were like, yeah, we'll stay there. If they get too close, we just both stand up on the platform.
Pretty dodgy.
Yeah.
Pretty sus. Do you think that was like stealing for drugs and stuff, or just?
I mean, it was the housing commissions. I mean, it could have been for anything. I mean,
could have been just to get a skateboard.
Yeah.
So.
You know, yeah, it wasn't great times.
But there wasn't large crowds there. There wasn't lots
not
of people.
Not at Pran at that stage.
No.
Nah.
Even the bowl too.
They're more street skaters.
Yeah, there were street skaters.
Yeah.
But also too, you know, like it was like people would meet at Paran Bowl and they would skate there, and then they would go down to St Kilda Road or like some spots that
looking
they knew.
for stairs and shit. And
yeah. So no, it was a good scene though.
Because I started skating that Paran obviously when Vermont started to get fixed up. Remember when they added the two sheets width?
Yep.
And then had to start skating Paran more, and it was like you'd be lucky to get 4 people sort of skating.
Well, there was many things of Vermont too, wasn't there? Like, you know, it started off as the timber ramp, and then it was half timber, half metal.
Yeah.
And then it went, the 2 sheets on the end were metal, and was that all metal then? Like, I can't remember.
It must have been. I don't think they would have made that half wood, would they? I can't remember.
I can't remember on that exact thing, but then it went all metal.
It seemed like it took a long
wood
time.
To the dork line.
Yeah, wood to the dork line, because we had, you know, I think we were very like metal slippery.
Yeah, I hated metal. I remember the first time I skated Paran and doing a rock and roll and just sliding, slam.
Yeah.
Just wasn't used to it. Just so used to that grippiness of the wood.
Yeah, I remember sliding out at Paran too, coming up.
Especially when it got hot, man, there was ice.
Hot was killer.
I mean, you always wanted to coke it. Everyone.
You'd overcoke it, and then your wheels would be like
black
gunk.
Goo all over them. Yeah. So, now, at some point you got sponsored, mate.
Yeah.
How'd that come about?
Well, I was riding a boarding house, which was in Glen Waverley.
It's not a place for homeless people. It's called boarding house.
Well, it kind of was, because the people that skated there with us was, you know, Matt Clark and, you know, guys.
Heroes.
Yeah, we were. I mean, a lot of the Vermont guys. Me and Ben used to skate there a lot, and Nick Martin and guys like that. But they had a ramp upstairs, and it was a pretty small ramp, like 2 foot.
So it was two things. There was a snowboarding shop.
Yep, snowboarding and
skating. So
and the guy Frank, he ran it, and when sort of came to the end of the boarding house, he went and worked for Vans.
Yep.
As their main guy, and he sponsored Body Jar.
Yep.
So flowed them Vans products and that.
Yeah.
And then when it came down to they wanted to do an ad, and had this idea, this 2 ways to rock thing.
Yeah.
And he asked Ben. He said, "Oh, you know, we'll do this, and someone do a rock and roll, and have the Rip page and all this." And he's going, "I was going to ask Steve," and Ben goes, "Yeah, ask Steve. Steve is one of my best mates." So,
cool.
Which was great. So, like, the only real ad that I've had is with one of my best mates, and it was good fun. Which is
here we have it here.
Yeah. So Ben playing the guitar, and, you know, one of the gigs, and frontside rock at the old Cranbourne shed, and that was good actually that day, because I had the place for like 2-3 hours by myself.
Yeah.
And I mean, I had frontside rocks on lock anyway.
Yeah.
But, you know, that day I had to do, you know, near enough 100 of them.
Just to get the picture right.
So, I'd come up and do a rock and roll, frontside rock and roll, frontside rock. I did a couple frontside sliders that day as well, because I just thought they're on lock and everything's working, let's do some. So, yeah, it was good fun. So
So were you just like on flow with vans, or what was the story?
yeah, I guess it was on flow. The first time I went there, Frank, we walked around the warehouse and he said, "Oh, what do you want?" And I went, "Just grab the pack, pair of shoes and a t-shirt." And he's like, "No, like, what do you want?"
Okay.
And I was like, "Oh, like, I didn't want to overstep the mark or be a greedy prick,
Yeah.
And he's going, "Do you like this?" And I'm going, "Yeah." And he just fed me shit, and it was great. And then even Frank's a great guy. I haven't seen him for years, but even before, like when I went overseas, I came in, I said, "Frank, I know I'm being cheeky, but, I'm going overseas. I'd love to have some band stuff to write over." He goes, "Oh, yeah, of course." So I went in and he's going, "Oh, what does your girlfriend wear?" And he had like the sizes, he gave me this and this and this. And so he just, and all the sample gear, he goes, "Take all of that."
Yeah.
And he goes, "And then just choose what you want." So yeah, I went out with like a shopping trolley, like when I went overseas. That's all, for probably 2 years, I only just wore van stuff,
So did he have the distribution rights for vans in Australia, did he?
Well, he was the main guy. So he was the only guy that I had contact with within vans.
Yeah.
So I assumed that he was the guy. So
Yeah, fair enough. Now, getting on to heading overseas, first of all, we might talk about the 540.
Okay.
Let's talk about the 540.
Yeah. All
Tell
right.
us about that. Where was that at?
I was at Vermont. It was in '96. I'd thought about a 540 for ages, but it wasn't like, I just thought I'd love to try 540, blah, blah, blah. But I think about the month before that I tried it, I literally thought about it every single night. Like I visualised it, and I visualised, because at that stage I was snowboarding a lot.
Yeah.
And I got rodeos, like corkscrew rodeos. And I thought that's going to be pretty similar to doing a 540, I would assume, because you throw down to your head and all that sort of stuff. So I was thinking about it every night, and I thought there was only like a little bit that I couldn't envision, and that was the bit where you're sort of rotating and you're looking at the sky, which is the scary part, because you're blind. Just that split second you're blind. But I thought, if I turn my head quick enough and all that, so I thought about it every day for like almost a month without trying it at all.
Yeah, right.
And just
a little bit obsessed.
Yeah, oh, totally. I mean, I did it with a fair few tricks like that. You try and visualise before you do it, like attempt it so you don't hurt yourself.
Yeah.
And then the first night that I tried it, I think I went about 3/4 of the way up and just jumped off. Just get to the spin, get to your knees. And the first couple of times
the bail.
Yeah, and that was easy. Like that was really easy to get to your knees. And I just thought, oh yeah, cool. And then I just thought, well, you want to be getting at least 3 foot to get the rotation. So I do a couple setups, and a few times, at the start, I just chickened out. I went, jump up on the platform. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, right.
And then
heart beating.
Yeah, and then I just thought, you know what, I got to try that. So, and then the first one I over rotated. I went right around and sort of started getting to almost like 720.
Yeah.
And went to the knee slide, but didn't hurt myself. So I'm glad that the first one went okay. And then from there, I realised that, once you see the ramp, you go open your shoulders up and spot it. And it only took 2 nights.
Wow.
So the second night I came around, and it was, I had some good slams too. Like I went over the platform, hit my shins on the coping, flipped on my back. I plugged on one. I rode off the side of the ramp and ended up in the fence. There was quite a few that, like, once I decided I was going for it, it didn't really matter where it was. I was going to either eat shit or die, I was going for it. So when I landed the first one, which is the only one I've got on video, I remember coming up, and then when I landed, I thought, I'll do a leaner tail. But I was still on the flat. So you see me like always doing a mono on the flat.
Yeah, right.
And then when I got up the other side, I just went, fuck yeah, just threw my board, and I was so stoked.
And who else was throwing them down in your crew then?
Brad.
Brad, yeah.
Yeah, Brad was...
Pretty regularly, or?
Yeah, and that was pretty much...
That was it.
That was it.
Yeah.
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 And how many did you do altogether?
8 all up. And I did a couple nice.
Yeah.
Like we landed up high, got speed out of it and all
Yeah.
that. And I wish I had those ones on
Yeah.
film, but I made it. I know, it's up here, so
That'll absolutely. Do. Which is awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome thing to do, but it must still sort of taunt you a little bit.
In
You're not going to throw one down
No,
at
I mean,
Noble
there's
soon?
so many things, and I mean, Chippy be the same where you did tricks and they're not on film, but it doesn't matter. That's not really what it's about. It's about like you've done them.
Yeah.
I've seen him do some crazy stuff on vert, and then it's not on footage. It does, but it happened. So it was before that era of all the cameras and we didn't have mobile phones.
Nah.
Well, it's quite impressive actually. Like just getting ready for this interview, how much skate stuff you have pictures of. Like
I'm quite surprised actually.
Yeah, which is quite interesting because it's not like instant Polaroids or anything like. You would have had to have taken shots. You would have fucked up about 30 out of the 40.
Yep.
You'd have a few good ones, and then you'd have to go process them, and then to keep them.
Yeah, well, so I like taking photos. So like I got a lot of photos, like of the comps and the demos in the city and things like that. And I think for us to be documented was more Billy's thing, wasn't it? Billy started filming.
Billy Harris.
And Herman,
No.
was it Herman?
Yeah.
He started filming a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Like he did a lot of stills and stuff.
Yeah.
Who was it? Billy.
Billy Sheard, Dave Sheard, his name is.
Yep.
That was the one that we said he got the nickname Billy. He got one haircut, he looked like Billy Idol. I remember saying, I don't know if it was me or whatever, but we said Billy, but his parents and stuff call him Billy now.
Yeah, right.
So, which is bizarre.
So he took a lot of pictures, did he, or he had a lot of footage?
A lot of video footage.
Radio. Okay. In the first kind of handheld cameras, yeah.
And I mean, he did what was it? Crocodile Wrestlers was the one of them.
Was that the first one? Was it?
And the other one was the Viva video. So
Okay.
and they're great to have.
Yeah. And you're in them.
Yeah,
This footage of you.
Yeah,
Okay,
Chippy's
cool.
in there.
Yeah, right.
All the Vermont guys. So
We'll try and dig
awesome.
some up and stick it in with your interview.
yeah, and there's some really gnarly stuff like Herman's late shove it on Paran and just some stuff that I totally forgot about, to be honest.
Yeah.
So.
Now, you mentioned overseas before. You've done a bit of travelling, yeah? You've done quite a bit of travelling, actually. But you went away to camp, didn't you?
Yep.
Do you want to tell us about that?
In '97, at the start of '97, I went to one of those camp counsellor. They have like a fair thing in the city.
I can't believe they were going to let you cancel children.
Yeah, I had to do it.
You shouldn't work with young people.
I had to do it from 500 metres, which was really difficult.
Yeah. That's the intervention order. That's why.
But yeah, I went to that and I took my resume just in case, because I knew that maybe I wanted to apply.
And it would look pretty good because you had a lot of jobs before. Isn't that right, Mr. Robinson?
Yes. So, but yeah, it was like, I didn't have any inkling that there would be skateboarding. At that time I was doing rock climbing and that, and I thought that'd be something that I wouldn't mind applying for. But I got there and looked at, went through the fairs and there was some, some camps which I thought were quite boring, and there were some ones that looked a bit more interesting. And they're the ones I sat down with the director and talked and whatnot. And the director was like looking and he goes, "Oh, you've been a skateboarder for a long time," and and he goes, "Oh, do you compete?" And he asked me some questions, and then he started showing me some photos of like their skate park and this and that. And also, I was a carpenter by trade.
Yeah.
I said, "Yeah, I've built a lot of ramps too." So he
tick.
Yeah, he offered me a job, and the first year I went there, I built a street course for him as well. So it was just a pyramid fun box, rail slide that went down the pyramid, 1/4 pipe, a flat bank, and another rail that was about 2 foot high or whatever, which was great, But I had no intention of going there. But at that time too, I'd broken up with a girl, and I was a little bit heartbroken. Like that's an underestimation, but yeah,
It is.
2 years, and so I kind of wanted to get away. I kind of wanted to just, go, do the whole go overseas, and didn't have those memories.
Escape. Yeah. So that was a
So-
difficult time for you.
Yeah, and then when I did go away, and I told you this Thursday when, I think it was like 3 days before I went away, and then I thought, I'll do the courtesy call and call her up and say that I'm going away, and I'll get the, I miss you, blah blah blah. And so we get back together like a day before I go away.
Yeah.
And then she said, "I'll meet you over there," and she did. But she only came over for like a month or something, and it was. Long story short, it didn't work. But at the end of the day, that was the main reason I went away. I think it was like an escapism.
Yeah.
So that was kind of closure then. So she came over in a month and you realised you didn't feel the same? Or?
No, I did, but she came over with like a 1 month visa, and I was like, because we're supposed to travel again, I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know, like if you only got 1 month visa,
Can't
like,
do anything.
are you committed to this or not? You know, and then it didn't actually happen. And I probably, I mean, I look back at it now. There was heaps of things that, in hindsight, I wish I'd said or done or whatever. Because she was a really good chick. So
How old were you then, though?
I would have been in '97. Would have made me 24, 25.
Yeah, still pretty young.
Oh, pretty.
I reckon.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty immature now, so
Hasn't
what I mean?
changed.
I didn't say that you did. But
Probably worse.
Oh, yeah, you think it. I know you do.
So this was, in some ways, pushed you to go to camp,
Yeah, definitely.
drove you to go to camp.
Yeah.
And what was camp like?
Camp was great. Like the first year, the first year was crazy. Like, they give you the spiel. There's, there's no partying. It's this and that. It couldn't have been any further from the truth.
Oh, really?
We had I think there's 700 kids at our camp. So it was a fairly big camp. It was a performing arts camp. So we had a circus. There was musicals every night. There was things like that. So it was quite arty, and that. I built a lot of sets for a lot of the shows and things like that. All helped out. And yeah, the trip. On my periods off, I'd be on the trapeze, or there was to be a ring of death thing that you could run through. And
Oh, that's cool.
Like the hamster wheel sort of thing.
Yeah, but on fire.
Not on fire,
right,
but let's say on fire.
Yeah, on
Yeah,
fire.
sounds better.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a great camp. And then after the camp, I went to we bought a van off the guy who he would pick us up in this old F250, and he would take us to the Long Eddie pub, which was I don't know where it was, but yeah, we would go there. And at the end, we said, Guy, what are you doing with the thing? He goes, I'm just going to sell it. I think we bought it for $600. It was a great van. We went all the way down to Florida Keys. There was 3 of us in there. And it was me, Scott and Brent, and a girl named Meredith. Meredith sort of came for a little bit and then left. Brent left at Florida Keys, and then me and Scott went through and into Mexico, and then zigzagged all our way up. And there's a few stories that go with that too.
Yeah.
So
How did it go in Mexico?
well, we initially went into Mexico because Scott had just wanted to renew his visa, and basically he went through, and I'd seen Brent's passport. He went through Niagara Falls the year before. And they were on a bus, and so they had a stamp, and all the passports got stamped, just standard sort of thing.
Yeah.
And we get into Mexico, and we get into Alvarez, which is the murder capital at that time and kidnapping capital of Mexico. So it's a gnarly place, and it's busy as hell and shit. And we're driving around.
And you said something about some really questionable driving as well.
Oh yeah. When we're driving along, there's it's 3 lanes, and it's there's 5 cars, and the car on the inside, and I'm driving, and you got no insurance over there, and they're bumping between it, and there's cars going in between you, and then it's a scary place to drive, you know, or it was for me anyway. And we pulled over and went to get some, we got some beans and rice and typical Mexican fare.
Yeah.
And I said, Scott, I was going through the passports, we had a little safe. I said, I can't find your stamp, from last year. He goes, no, it's there, And I said, I go, dude, I can't find it, and he goes, we'll keep going. He goes, I'll find it before we get to the border, And I said, all right. I said, I really don't think it's there. I've looked 4 times. Get there, and he goes, no, I can't find it either. He goes, I can find 96, I can't find 97, And so we get to the border and try and get through, and they grabbed Scott and they threw him in lockup. And I was like, oh, fuck, that's not good. So I was trying to convince the guy, to let him out, and he's like, no, he's overstayed. He's an illegal immigrant, blah, blah, blah.
When they speak in English to you?
Oh,
or
yeah.
It was all right,
Yeah, and in these cells are, you can see it all from the, where you're sitting, where the immigrant, and it's all, Mexicans trying to get across the border and that. And he's a big, buff Kiwi guy.
Yeah, right.
Looked completely out of place in there. Yeah. And they said, you'll have to go to the embassy and find out. So I've got to drive back through these crazy streets. I've got no idea where I'm going, got no maps or anything. So I've just gone on the directions that were given to me from this guy. And I eventually find the embassy, and it's, 2:30, and the embassy closed at 2. And there's a sign up on the front, closed for Columbus Day Monday. This was on the Friday. So, so he was stuck, he was going to be stuck there till the Tuesday. I'm like, what the fuck did I do? So I go back, plead my case again, and then the guy gets really angry. He goes, "You sit down and shut up, or you're getting thrown in jail." So I just sit there, and I'm looking at Scott, and he's like, his hands like this, I'm going like this. And I didn't really know what the next sort of move was doing. And then one of the other guards came over and he said to me, he goes, I understand that, this has happened. We don't think that, he's done anything wrong.
Yeah.
But I can't stamp his passport.
Yeah.
He goes, I'll let you through the border. He goes,
Wow.
but as soon as you get to the American side, go to an embassy, sort out your visa problems, and get it done. So we get over, and Scott's pretty casual, and so we get over. We go to New Mexico and Colorado and Las Vegas and all these places. And
How long did it take you to go through those places?
Oh, months, like a month and a half, maybe.
So he's travelled from Mexico, that just got through by the fucking skin of his teeth.
Yeah.
He's got back into the States.
Yep.
He still hasn't sorted his fucking passport
No,
out.
well, I mean, it was 3 months.
You're saying casual. I'm saying hopeless.
Yeah. Well, the trip from New York State down and along all up was 3.5 months. So we're in a van for a long time. We lived in it, and we had
I can
a false
smell it already. Okay.
Oh, it was good fun. But we'd go to places and I'd say, "We're here for 4 days. Let's go to the embassy."
Yep.
And he'd go, "Oh yeah, we'll sort it out." And then by the time we got to sort of, I think it was like Wyoming or Colorado or something, he'd already decided that. He goes, "Oh, when we get to the Canadian side, they're sweet. We're in a Commonwealth country. They're going to let me in. Cool." I said, "Dude, if you think so, that's cool." I said, I don't reckon we should go that route."
Yeah.
But we did, and we got there, and he, to his thing, we got to the Lethbridge crossing, and they did let us through. We got through, and we got to the Canadian side, and then they said, well, you guys.
So you
Commonwealth?
got like one thing here and one thing there. So
Yeah,
you
as
gotta
you
get
cross
through
the country,
two.
yeah. And they said, you're fine to come across, but you have to go back to the American side, clear up your visa issues with them, and then come back. So we go back, and as soon as he showed him his passport and all this, the guy went berserk.
In the States.
Yeah.
So once you got States again, yeah.
Threw him straight in jail again, and then he said to me, he goes, "You best go," he goes, he's getting deported.
Yeah, you're saying like you can't hang around here anyway.
Yeah.
This
So,
is like a no
I was
man's land,
sitting
you gotta
there, and
fuck
I was
off.
there for like half an hour, and he's like going, "You must leave now. He's getting deported, this and that." And like I said, this is before mobiles and all that. So I was on emails to his mum and all that, which they were not happy with me for leaving him. I'm like, what the fuck do I do?
Yeah, right.
So I drove on and went to, to Canada where I did a snow season.
So he got locked up.
Yeah, he went. And
then what happened?
He got sent down to a Denver prison, and he was in Denver prison for 6 weeks because they have to have enough people send back to your home country to make it worthwhile.
Yeah,
Yes.
sure.
And
Yeah,
he
it
was,
sucks.
and apparently the second day, a guy got shivved in the neck with a toothbrush because of they were sitting in the wrong seat. And Scott was,
Shit.
because he was, and there was like the whites and the blacks and all this, and he didn't want to get involved in any of it.
Yeah.
But because he was such a big dude, they were
They're
just
probably
like,
making him pick a side or something. Yeah.
no, they kind of left him alone, and they knew that he was, thing, but.
Short termer and was going or something.
Yeah, but he was in a maximum,
Fucking hell.
penitentiary.
Jesus.
So
That's a
Ridiculous.
gnarly story.
yeah,
That's so gnarly.
and then it took a couple of weeks for me to find out that had even happened. And his sister, who was also at the camp, she came up and stayed with me in Canada.
Oh yeah.
And she was like, "Oh, why the fuck did you leave him?" I'm like, "What the fuck was I supposed to do?" Camp
Out of your control, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
totally. You could end up in handcuffs and fucking deported
Yeah,
yourself.
and I did overstay my welcome.
Did you?
like that. Yeah, yeah. Like the guy said, "You leave now," or
You're pushing it.
yeah. And so I just drove down.
Now, you also travelled to the UK.
Yep.
As well, yeah. So
Yeah.
what got you over there? What made you go there?
I think I was still in that, escapism mindset. I was like, I didn't want to go home yet.
Sure.
I still had, and I had no.
So you weren't just doing the drunk Australian in the UK thing?
Nah, and like quite the opposite actually.
You
I
had a
was-
different reason, but then you did the drunk Australian in the
and
UK
I actually
thing.
didn't do too much of that either. I mean, I did obviously, but
Not the stories you told me, anyway.
yeah, no, there was some mayhem, but it was quite different. I didn't want to go home, and it was just a case of where do I go with my visa, and I had an ancestry visa, or I could get an ancestry
Oh,
visa.
okay, really?
So I went to England.
Who's English in your family?
My grandparents.
Okay.
So, and I already tried the Italian side, but because my dad had been already naturalised as an Australian citizen.
They say, you're not bloody welcome no more.
No.
You're not coming here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Good casual racism.
Thanks, I can do that because I'm a wog as well.
Yeah, there
That's
you go.
true. So you went to the UK and you ended up, did you do much skating there?
Yeah. Well, initially we went over, and the boys that I travelled with, we ended up in Leicester, so we were in the Midlands, and at first we were working in a like a science shop, like making typography sort of stuff, plate making, things like that. So it was a shit job, but one of the skate shops in town had an opening for a job, so I thought, fuck, I've never worked in a skate shop, fuck, why not? And because I was an Aussie, they were like, it was a bit of a novelty, and I got the job, which was great.
Did the chicks love your accent?
I don't know about that, but
They might have thought you sounded like you're off Neighbours or something, but
yeah, no, it didn't really work that well.
okay, I was just trying.
Yeah, I'd like to lie,
I went to Canada in the French-speaking part of Canada, and people would hear my voice and they go, oh my God, you're so exotic, because you don't sound like you're North American.
Yeah.
So they just think you're from somewhere else, and I'm like,
Sound exotic.
Yeah, totally.
Wow.
Yeah, the chicks over there really thought.
It doesn't sound exotic.
Chicks over there thought it was awesome, and I was like, okay, I'm going with this, sure.
So
It's not exotic.
no.
So you were you got the job in the skate shop?
Yep.
Yep.
And I'd go. There wasn't really that much to skate in Leicester. I'd go to Derby, and they had an indoor park. And a lot of the times the half pipe was elliptical, so it wasn't a great half pipe.
Elliptical?
Yeah, it wasn't a centre transition.
Yeah, right.
So it wasn't a great round. And the person that I rode the most there with was Jamie Beswick, BMX.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, really, world-class BMX rider.
Right.
And so I'd go there, and he liked the ramp.
Yeah.
And I liked the ramp, and I wanted to skate vert,
Yeah.
So on my weekends, I'd do that. Then this place, Oxide, opened up, and it had a mini ramp. It's only about 2 foot, and I spent a lot of time skating there.
Is that the same place that was Alcatraz? Or
Yes.
Alcatraz,
Yeah,
right.
Oxide and Alcatraz. Yeah.
Yep.
Alcatraz was the first name, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like a bar or
yeah,
something, like a
yeah,
nightclub. A nightclub, but it's got a skate ramp in it.
Yeah, and Red Bull paid for the ramp, so it was
Awesome.
Had all Red Bull signature, sort of stuff on it.
And you got a job there too, didn't you?
Yeah, well, Lee Plum, who was the guy who ran it,
Yeah.
the first night that we went there, it was like me, Scott, and Aaron and stuff, and we were, me, Brent, and Aaron, were there, and we were on the snake bites, and we were getting pretty.
What's a snake bite?
Snake bites? Half cider, half lager, and black currant.
Ugh.
Yeah, we loved it. We drank it like it was, lolly water. And when I first went there, I said, "Oh, is there any jobs here?" I thought, it's ramp. They're playing punk music. I'm liking this. And I hadn't actually started work at the other place yet. I didn't know whether I had the job. So he goes, "Yeah, I'll get you the application." And he said, "Oh, leave it with me. I'll print one out and I'll see you during the night." And as the night went, I totally forgot about it. And we were, Brent's just spitting snake bite. I mean, I got a white t-shirt. I'm just covered in this red shit, and just look like an animal. And then at the end, and apparently Lee was watching us all on the cameras, and he was going, because he likes to employ people who like to party and have a good time, and act like fools, which I fitted all that criteria.
I believe you do.
So at the end of the night, like, the officer's right near the exit of the door, and he come out and gives it to me. I'm sheepishly like, I'm just covered in like black currant. He's like, "Yeah, make sure you fill this in." I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay."
No worries.
And I thought, there's no chance of getting that job, and I just put it away.
I thought he wanted to just banned you from the club in the story.
No, he loved it, and he's been one of the best mates from over there, But he would come into the shop and kept saying, "Why don't you fill that form out?" He goes.
So you were working at the shop.
Yeah.
And then he
and
wanted you to go.
I said,
to the
I go,
club.
"Well, I got this job," and he goes, "Well, you don't start this job till 10. And he goes, "You'll pay for your bar tab at least, because you're there." I was there at least 3 nights, 4 nights a week.
Wow. Okay.
Because when it's wet, it was indoors. It was a mini ramp. It was fun. And
if not, there were bands or whatever as well.
Yeah, like Snuff and a few other good bands played there, and it was awesome. And then eventually I succumbed and went, most weeks I would work for nothing because it would be all right, your bar tab is paid for, or sometimes I even owed them money. You know?
Wow.
So
We've got some pictures that we'll put up during when Aaron edits it of you doing some tricks. Like the ramp's only small; it's only like 2 feet. But you used to put up the speaker boxes. Is that right?
yeah. We had there were like the risers for bands and stuff. So we would have them, and initially we had them on the side, and then on one of them we like I put it upright, and we did like I think made it like 5 feet of vert or something. You did rock to fakie on it, and frontside pivots, and
They make for good pictures. They look great.
yeah, it was awesome, and it was good fun skating like that. But it was a fair few slams that went with that. So
Because of the drinking, or
no, I wasn't drinking when we did those photos. No, because
just because of the height of the vert.
Oh, and just I mean, I'd normally skate before I'd go to work, and at the end of the night, the skating was particularly not good compared to at the start of the session.
You don't need to say any more.
Yeah.
And you also travelled through the UK as well. Oh no, sorry, Europe as well.
Yeah, Europe and Africa.
Yep.
We bought a van and we went all around Europe, and we did. The main spots. We did Gallipoli for for Anzac Day, and then sort of worked our way through, and we ended up in Pamplona for Running of the Bulls, which was petrifying.
Yeah, tell us. Now you said to me that's the scariest thing you've ever done.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, it was. You do the Running of the Bulls, and then like as you come around the corners and stuff. We had a thing. We rock, paper, scissors for who was in line. So we would run in a line. So if someone fell...
How many of them?
There was 5 of us, I think.
5 of you,
yeah. And we came around the corner. I'll tell you the first video. We got there early and we thought, being smart, we're going to get as far away, because you've got to run 1.8K to the arena, which is, with 7 or 8 bulls chasing you, it's a bit scary. So we got
not the smoothest of terrain, from what I understand.
Well, they're all cobblestones.
Yeah.
And it was all like the bluestone sort of cobblestones.
Yeah.
And so we were right up the thing. We thought, we've done this as smart as we can.
So get as far away from the fucking bulls as you can.
Yeah.
Right.
So I was hoping to see a few bulls, but I didn't really want to see anyone get gored or anything like that. And then I think it was about, I think the run was at 8 o'clock, and about 20 to 8, this guy comes through and in Spanish said, you got to move. We got to come around here, because they had to clean the street. They hadn't cleaned all that part of the street. So they got the gurney and cleaned all that part of the street, which meant that everyone that was now at the front had to walk right around the back, and we saw where the bulls come out.
Yeah.
So
wow.
I was literally, 150 metres from where the bulls first came out. So I thought, so when it started, it's mayhem. There's just so many people, and you're trying to sprint, and you can't sprint. So
it's just like that.
Yeah.
Like running in a fuck.
And you're seeing people getting hit by the bulls, and we had we'd already decided, don't go out wide, because we watched the race the day before.
Yeah.
And people were getting smashed against the wall when the bull would slide out.
Yeah.
And that was just as bad as getting gored,
Yeah, right. Getting taken out between the wall and the bull.
Yeah, so we were running in a line, and I came around the corner, and we got to where...
You'd organised that though, hadn't you? You guys had some strategies.
Yeah, because we'd seen it that day before.
Yeah.
And also a couple of the guys had done it before.
Oh, okay.
The fact that they wanted to do it again is madness to me.
Yeah.
How's the guy on the end go? Like, you're in a line, so you're looking after each other, but there's the guy at the end. Well, he falls.
Yeah, he'd already
He's in
done
trouble.
Yeah, he's fucked. So, and I ran around a corner, and we got to that bit where they'd cleaned it, and I slipped.
Fuck.
And I'm like on the ground, and next thing I know, there's just my mate Pooch, Glenn, he pulled up my t-shirt, and it was just over my head. I literally, 100, 200 metres, we were running, and I was trying to, I couldn't see anything, but he still held me, and I'm like, get the top down,
So you're just running around blindly.
Yeah, but he sort of guided me, and so we got through, and then once you get into the arena, you think, oh, wow, thank God that's over, and then they bring out the steers, and the steers...
Part 2.
Yeah, and that's even scarier, because the steers are fast, and they turn like crazy and all this, and it's like half an hour in this ring.
Right. So you got the sprint, then you got half an hour in the ring.
Yeah.
But they add more.
Yeah. And
angry.
Yeah. And a lot of the Spanish
bovines
will sit like in a triangle just as they come out. So the bull will run out.
Yeah.
And they'll either charge them, jump to the left, right, or jump over. We saw a few people like in the race. I saw someone get gored. In that one, I saw a came straight through and either side, and that person died. Like we saw it in the.
Jesus.
Fucking hell.
So it was, yeah, it's pretty full on. I mean, obviously, I don't think I'd do it again. Like, I mean, just obviously back then too. I mean, what happens with the animals is terrible too.
Yeah.
But we were running around for 20 minutes or something, and we got chased by this steer, and there's like a little ledge just about that high, and I jumped up onto that, and they normally don't get up, and you can sort of bring your legs up in the air or whatever, and the guy behind me had got bucked, and he landed on my head, and we both flipped onto the thing, and I hit the concrete floor on the other side.
So he went over the end.
Yeah, and then all the Spanish are, coward, coward,
Telling you you're a
coward.
pussy, yeah.
And I'm like, I'm fucking on that
Just
side
got
of the
thrown
fence,
out of
and
the
you're
fucking
on this
thing,
one.
man, yeah.
So yeah, jumped back in there, and then 10 minutes later it's all over. And pretty much the whole day your heart rate is through the roof.
That's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
That sounds terrifying.
Yeah, so I wouldn't do that again. I mean, fuck, I can't run anymore, but yeah.
You'd just be like, take me.
Yeah.
Yeah, take me out.
Yeah, so no, it was, like I said,
That sounds awesome.
yeah.
Experience, yeah.
You probably couldn't do it with all your injuries now anyway.
No, there's been a few.
Now, the Bristol Wall. Can you tell me about the Bristol Wall, Steve?
Yeah, all right. Well, Bristol, they had a skate park, an indoor skate park. At the back of the vert ramp, they had I think it was an 8-foot transition, 8-foot of vert.
8 foot of vert.
I think so, yeah.
Fuck, that's like a hell wall.
Yeah, so it was, and I didn't know this at the time, but no skateboarder had tried to drop in on it.
You probably should have took note of that point.
Well, I didn't know
reckon.
it, so yeah. An inliner had done it, but they sat in like an inliner would.
Can you? What's an inliner? A fruit birder.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, and then a BMX had done it, and the BMX had put the bars into his stomach and punctured his lung.
Yeah.
So he pegged it, so. But yeah, so we went there, and at that time we were filming for a local skate sort of thing. It was called what was it called? Downside, I think. Yeah, and it was Stu from that I worked with.
Yeah.
He was doing it. So we got to skate all these parks. We went out to South Sea and Bristol, Oxford, all these places, and we got to skate. Like Harrow, Romford. It was just like a local thing. So Roller Snakes, where I worked, made a lot of videos, and Stu, had done those videos. So when we went there, he was like, "Do you reckon you could drop in on that wall?" And I mean, I'm going on, back in the day when the old Mornington ramp, we dropped in on that. We did rock and rolls, and I did frontside rock on it and things
That
like
had a fair bit of vert on it.
Yeah, I think that was what, 6
That was
foot with
massive.
6 foot.
Yeah. Something
6
like that,
foot
yeah.
with 6 foot.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And so I thought, it's only a couple more feet of vert, and it's got a couple more transitions, so I should be okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't.
What happened?
Well, if you see the video, it's
We'll put the video in.
yeah,
For sure.
pretty much just I should have been a bit more in the back seat, and I went down, and as I got down, my feet were just loose on the board, and I just pretty much pummeled into the concrete.
Jeez.
And I
Just
had,
like a total front heavy slam.
yeah, totally over the
Right.
floors, and just had internal bleeding for 3 or 4 days. I had no idea why I was in the UK, let alone why I was in Bristol.
Oh, you were concussed.
Oh
to
yeah,
fuck.
I was out. Yeah,
Right.
like we ended up at this.
Did you go to
place.
hospital?
No. Oh, and we went to.
That's a sensible thing to do.
No, we went to the doctors when we got back to Leicester, and that's where I found out I was internal bleeding, and they gave me because I was struggling to go to the toilet because I had I was.
You were
pissing-
impacted.
Yeah, pissing and shitting blood. So.
Yeah.
And he gave me some tablets. I don't know what they were, but yeah, that wasn't a great thing. And
Fuck. And it's all for viewers to see as well on the video.
yeah,
And is there I've seen it before, but I'm just hoping that the audio, the thudding sound, is kind of something we can hear.
yeah, it's just a bit of thud.
Do you think about it very often? You traumatized about it still?
No, not really. I mean, I think
Lucky you had concussion, you can't remember it.
I think the more the trauma is the fact that I know now what I should have done and I didn't do it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I know that it is possible to do it. I mean, you see people do bigger stuff than that.
Yeah, but you also see a lot of videos where they don't make it as well.
Well, that was mine.
Yeah, but
So-
you also see other people not making it as well. So some
Yeah.
of those walls, you know,
Yeah.
like
And I mean,
it's a 50-50, I reckon, on those ones.
I know Stu and, you know, the guys who made the video and stuff, you know, look, the nightclub I worked at, yeah, they were so keen to just play that video constantly, you know? And it's like, yeah, you can make 100 tricks.
In fact, I want to see if I can get a screenshot of it and just have it come up every time you ring me on the phone. That would be awesome.
But yeah, people like it when you fail, so.
Now, I'm going to, speaking of injuries, Steve, I have a whole different sheet here of injuries. Yeah,
I've had a few.
Going to read them out to you, okay?
Okay.
Tendons in your foot, hamstring, groin.
Yep.
I'm not sure if that was skating related, but metatarsals, which is your bones in your feet.
Broke 3, yep.
Yep. Right knee at the age of 15.
Yep.
Left and right knee at the age of 18.
Yep.
Two for the price of one there.
Yep.
Patella,
Yep.
broken heel ×2.
Yep.
Talus bone,
Yeah, that was a bad one.
2 chipped bones.
Yep.
Yep. Which bones were they?
The chip bones are in my elbows.
Yep.
They're still there.
Okay.
So,
Floating around.
Yep.
Nice. Wrist operation.
yep.
Something in
That's
brackets.
3 of them.
Something in brackets wanking. No. So left and right.
Yep.
Yeah. That's twice I've knocked that over now.
Very clumsy.
I'm a concussion, which we know from Bristol.
I've had many though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Hang ups and
Concussions,
yeah.
Yeah. Internal bleeding, I think twice.
Yep.
Right. From the Bristol wall. And when was the other one?
The other one was the slam at Vermont. So.
Are you Evel Knievel's love child, or just one really unlucky fellow?
No,
Is my question for you.
Probably unlucky, but I'm also. I think I overestimate my ability sometimes.
Or maybe you just go for shit.
No, I
Yeah,
think.
you're hardcore. That's right.
No,
This
no,
goes
not
for
even.
everything.
Nah, look, I mean, some of those slams were. I mean, the talus bone was.
I was going to say, which ones are the ones that...
The
That's quite a
talus
lot. Which ones are the ones that had the most impact and
The
affected
talus
your
bone
skating?
was. Well, at that time too, I was doing demos for Red Bull when we were over in England.
Yep.
And we were out at where was it, Newquay, and we're doing I think it was called Ocean Fest or something like that, something to do with ocean anyway. And it was we were skating there, and it was Pete King, Dave Allen, Andy Scott. If anyone's seen Andy Scott skate, he's just
Awesome.
it's ridiculous. And yeah, I came up and I did boardside to fakie, did a ledge twist. And it was, you know, reasonably high, and I thought, oh fuck, you know, I'd been started to try fakie to fakie 5s.
Yeah.
So I did another boardside to fakie, and I went, oh, I'll just drop the shoulder and try and do it. And when I came around, I went, nah, I'm gonna hang. So I went to knee slide, but the foot was underneath, kept rotating, and when I went on the thing, you could hear it over, like they had a Humvee, you know, with all the speakers. You could hear the snap.
Oh.
And
Show us where your talus is. Where's your talus?
talus basically is at the bottom of your heel.
So the bottom of your heel here
Yeah,
somewhere. Yeah.
and I kind of you basically, because it's weight bearing, it's a bad one to break.
Yeah, okay.
And when I came up, I really couldn't work out my foot because all my toes was like that, because all the tendons had gone.
Oh, fuck. So your toes had curled up like
yeah,
that. Yeah,
but my toes were facing upwards, so it was against my calf. So basically, it's like a chicken wing. It was like that.
So you'd snapped it under.
Yeah, and it was.
that's not right.
It was leaning against there, and say that part of the thing was aiming that way.
That doesn't sound right.
No, so they plated and pinned that, and that was.
Oh, so you got pins in it. Wow.
Yeah, and 9 months in a hard cast and 3 months in a boot.
A moon boot.
Yeah, and they said that you probably wouldn't skate again,
Yeah.
and you couldn't run or walk without a limp. And I went, fuck that, you know. So I started doing a lot of Chinese medicine, cupping, acupuncture, all that sort of stuff. And yeah, within sort of 3 months after that, I was back skating. So,
Wow, that's incredible.
So
Which other injuries have been?
this knee
Problematic.
I got a knee problem that's quite annoying, and I've only just found out really what the issues are with it. I've got a non-tracking patella. It's got no groove in it, so it goes around and it just makes a mess.
Just kind of floats around your patella.
Yeah.
So normally it would. How would it sit?
Yeah, well, there's a groove under there, and it sort of sits and it moves like that. Because mine doesn't have that, it just can go all over the place.
Yeah, right.
and you kind of, I've tried to build up the muscles as much as I can, but yeah, it's got to the point now where I've done a lot of damage. It's like my doctor said, it's like a 70-year-old's knee now.
Yeah, right. Did they say anything about like a total reconstruction or replacement or anything?
I'm sure it could, but I can't afford to take the that'd be a long process.
Yeah.
So
it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it might. I don't know. Hope not.
Yeah.
So
that's a shitload of injuries, mate. It's amazing you even get up and skate.
And I've also had my stomach stuff. So
yeah, your stomach stuff. Yeah. Probably not everyone knows about your stomach stuff.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
In 2011, I got pains in my stomach, and I'd eaten sushi that day, and I thought maybe I'd got food poisoning. So I went to Marinda Hospital, and I went there, and I was in a lot of pain. Like, it was horrendous. And they asked me what I'd eaten. I told them an apple, sushi roll, this and that. And they said, "Oh, you got food poisoning." They gave me painkillers and put me on a saline drip for, 18 hours or something.
Yeah.
And gave me heaps of morphine. And they said, "You feel better?" Of course you feel better when you've had that much morphine. Sent me home, and progressively over I thought I was being a bit of a princess. I thought, I'm imagining this, but I'm feeling really bad,
Right.
And I think it was the following morning, about 4 a.m, I woke up because I was just covered in sweat, like just that painful and stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought I'll have a shower, and I came to, and I was on the ground in the shower, and I was just covered in blood, and I was like, what the fuck's going on? Because I'm feeling here, because that's where the pain is.
Yeah.
But I'd hit my face on the taps or something when I'd fallen, and so I'd given myself blood nose, so that wasn't a big deal. But
yeah, but you're trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Have I been shot? Am I bleeding from my ass? What's going on?
So I rang my parents. I said, "I'm still not well. Can you pick me up?" And went in, and basically my stomach had peritonitis, which is kind of like a gangrene. So my appendix ruptured, and it just covered everything with, everything that is in your stomach, from excrement to thing. And
okay, so was it your intestines that had
where the
exploded
appendix
essentially?
Yeah, the appendix ruptured.
Okay, so it ruptured there, and then all of the stuff had just come out and gone through the rest of the lining of your stomach.
Yep.
Yep.
And then so they tried to clean it out, and long story short, I spent 4 and a bit months in hospital. I had 5 clean-outs, 5 operations.
Yeah. Is that like where you got the staples in your tummy?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a picture of that. That's pretty gnarly.
Yeah, and I think that would have been like the last final sort of thing. For a while there, I had an open
like a stoma,
stomach.
Yeah.
So they would have
your intestine would be exposed.
Yeah.
Then,
So we'd have a vac pack.
Yeah.
And it would take the infection and stuff out. And then when I came out, there was still some infection in. I went back to work, went green. I think it was like on a Monday or a Tuesday. And everyone goes, "You just don't look right, Or do you want to call an ambulance?" And I said, "No, I'll get home." I went home, went back in this thing, spent another 2 weeks there. And so I've got ongoing stuff with that. Like I get pains probably 2-3 times a week.
Still, like now, each week, yeah.
I've had 11 bowel obstructions since 2011, which sucks. So a lot of times people say, "Hey, let's go skating," or that. And I'll say no, and they just think you're a burnout or you're not wanting to skate. And it's not the case. You just feel ill.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can last, an hour, 10 minutes. Sometimes it can last 2-3 days.
Yeah.
So.
And do you have to have a special diet, or do you have to look at after it in a special way?
Yeah, that's it's weird because I've stacked on so much weight since 2011.
I like you cuddly.
Well, thank you.
No worries.
But yeah, it's because processed foods actually are easier for my stomach to digest.
Which sort of sounds fucking weird.
And it's terrible. It's the things that are the worst for you are the easiest on my stomach. So like if I eat things that have seeds in it.
We tried to cure you the other night at home with some walnuts.
Yeah, but
after my wife tossed your salad with walnuts in it.
You're obsessed by tossing salads, aren't you?
So healthy things like couscous, things like small grains, things like bits of peanut.
Yeah, I'm not supposed to eat nuts at all.
And that's because they get caught in
Yeah.
the scar tissue in your tummy.
So I got loads of scar tissue through my stomach, and something like even a strawberry pip or something, like a strawberry
Like those little
seed.
Yeah.
That can get caught in that, and then I'll know, I'll just start feeling unwell and a bit nauseous.
Yeah.
And you can eat whatever you can to try and clear it. If it doesn't clear, sometimes, I've also got a intestine lap,
Yeah, you're telling me it's got like a weird angle on it or
Yeah.
something. So you've got an acute angle on your
Yeah.
intestine.
So when that stuff gets caught behind that and then you could have something else
sucks.
and back, and then you get that blockage.
So how do you know when things are not okay?
Well, you just feel a bit ill,
Yeah.
and then
Off colour,
Yeah.
kind of, yeah.
and I kind of now, because it's happened so much, I'll go into the hospital when I know that I've got a blockage, and I'll say, I've got a blockage, and a lot of times too, they will just go, but they look at my record now,
Yeah.
and they go, yeah, well, I think he knows what's happening.
So you were telling me you go to the same hospital so that they've got your medical history
Yeah.
correct and they don't
I just
fuck
tell
you
them,
around.
yeah, get me a nasal gastric, do all the things they normally do, and normally I spend 4 or 5 days in there.
Jeez.
It clears itself.
Yep.
Feel good again. Go back to eating, sort of.
So the treatment you said was you basically have fluids, but you don't eat.
Yeah,
It's pretty much for a
you
few
don't
days.
Eat, you don't eat for 5 days.
But then they were also saying that you have to eat a little bit of something to try and push the blockage through.
Well, they do. Well, sometimes they don't eat at all. But then at the end, obviously you have to stomach food and not get blocked.
Yeah.
The food at hospitals generally they're not going to block you up anyway. So.
Did that get you down? Did that kind of have a big impact on you, your stomach
for sure.
stuff?
Yeah, for sure. If you're, it's affected everything really in life. You interviewed Rich Hyatt, and he was one of the people that would message me regularly when I was in hospital.
Rich knows a few things about about chronic condition.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're dealing with that on a daily basis, which I do, sometimes you do. You go, oh fuck, I've been at gigs before and been in pain. I'm like, no, I'm not leaving this gig. I've been waiting 10 years to see this band.
Yes.
Or you're at a skate thing or whatever, and sometimes you just got to leave.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
I imagine in relationships and stuff, it'd be kind of difficult too, and
That's good, yeah, because I don't have those.
you don't have them. Well, you have had them.
Yeah.
haven't you? So, and then look on top of that, just on top of all your broken bits and then your stomach stuff, you've also got, is it hemochromatosis?
Yeah. There was
Expialidocious.
that was an added one I just found out about this year.
Yeah.
Now, I started doing PRP injections, which they spin the blood, and it helps with my knee condition.
Yeah.
So they can put it straight in the tendons, and that will improve your recovery.
Less painful, or is it improves recovery?
it
less
improves-
inflammation. Or
Yeah, and it's just, I don't know,
they stick them right in the joint.
yeah, Steve Cripps and Bucky and that have been doing them, and they got me onto it, and
Right.
it's really good. If anyone has any problems like that and you want to speed up your recovery,
Yep.
it's a really good thing. It's natural too.
Yep.
It's your own blood.
Yep.
So I've been doing
It's
that.
your blood that's been put in a cocktail shaker.
Yeah,
pretty
it's in a
much,
centrifuge. They spin it. They get the white blood cells out. They reactivate it with light, and they pump it back into you.
Sounds scientific.
So yeah, but I'm actually getting some at 3 o'clock today. So
Right, okay.
I'm just trying to get as much healing as I can before I go overseas.
So what happens with your blood with the hemochromatosis?
My iron levels are too high. So they're like 15 times.
Let me get this. You're Iron Man.
Yeah, but it's not a good thing,
Oh,
unfortunately.
okay. It's not good thing.
Yeah,
right,
it doesn't give you biceps like that.
You sure?
You knew that was
I think it does.
Yeah. So with the hemochromatosis, you've got too much iron in your blood. So what's the treatment for that?
If I donate blood, I've got to donate every couple months and try and get the count down. So it's because basically all the iron.
So they take a large volume of your blood.
Yep.
Then your bone marrow creates new blood.
Yep, and then basically your levels will go down.
Yep.
And I find that after I do it, my energy levels will go up
Yeah. Okay.
because all that iron gets stored in your parts of your body.
Yeah.
Your joints and that. The joints hurt.
Yeah.
stuff like that. So
Well, you were saying it's a little bit like hypothyroidism in the sense. Were you saying that it's like it makes you feel kind of like you've got no? Oh no,
Yeah.
sorry. It was like having low iron. You said.
lethargic. And,
You're feeling tired and feeling exhausted. So whether or not the iron's too high or too low, you still have those sort of side effects.
Yeah, it's like a balancing act. You get to that over point and it goes the other way. So and you are knackered. Like
How often do you have to give blood?
at the moment, because it's only done it 2 or 3 times. We're just monitoring it, but it's every 2 months at least.
Yep.
So just try and get down to I think the levels, the safe levels, and someone probably could correct me, but it's about between 50 and 70. And
We've got 2 nurses in the room. We probably wouldn't have a clue.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
mental health nurses.
Yeah.
Mental health nurses.
But it was about 950.
Yeah.
Mine
Okay.
was.
Yeah.
So
So you got to have regular blood tests to check out how much iron you've got in your blood, and go give some blood if you need to.
Yeah.
And I was saying this to you the other day. So for people who have low iron in their blood, do they just give you Steve blood?
I'm not
Got
sure. I
super blood.
have no
like
idea
iron
where
blood.
it goes.
Yeah.
You've no idea. You want to ask next time you're there. Say, listen, this blood I've got, good shit. For people with
High
low
iron.
iron,
Well, at the
what
moment,
happens?
the blood that I have been giving, I've been donating plasma.
Yeah.
Because I went to Bali only a couple of months ago. So you actually can't give when you're in a place that has malaria and stuff. So my blood that I've been doing, it's through the PRP people, is just getting flushed.
Oh.
So I'm donating plasma, which gets used.
Yeah.
But my blood is to keep me regular, in the zone.
Yeah.
I've done 3 things and they've just been down the drain.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is a waste.
I went to give blood when I was living in England, and they do a little checkup. They give you a little list of questions beforehand. And the lady looked quite sternly at me, and she said, due to your previous lifestyle choices, we can't take your blood.
Wow.
Please elaborate.
Please elaborate.
What was
You'll
that?
just have to wait another time. I was a little bit
I
offended.
already know what it is.
I was a little bit offended, a little bit annoyed about that.
Isn't there a 5-year, when you've purified yourself? No?
She just looked disgusted with me and wasn't going to take my blood. That was the end of it. She's like that. She pointed to the door and said, get out. Don't come in here
I reckon
again.
that's more your
creep.
personality.
What's that? It's just my personality. It could be. It could be. Now, I'm sorry, where am I up to? Okay. So you're in England. You come back. Was it like 2003?
Yep.
You're there for ages, yeah?
6 years.
Weren't you supposed to stay there for a short time and you just stayed?
It was going to be 1 to 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it was just,
So I just remember talking to you, when are you coming back, man? You're like, mate, 6 years later.
Did you guys stay in contact much?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So
Steve sent you dick pics again. Is that what it was?
Yeah, all the time.
that was very,
Well,
very...
he kind of got me back into skating, and then that was before you were leaving,
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just
Yeah, 'cause you got out.
Me and Brad had quit, and
you were boxing or something, weren't you?
yeah, and then started skating Cranbourne,
Yep.
and then you left, and then we continued on, and then Brad came back, and then
So you guys kept going on after Steve was overseas anyway?
yeah,
I think from 97 onwards, that was, I saw some pictures and stuff of what Chip and, Chip and Brad went next level, it was...
I've seen pictures of Brad. I haven't seen pictures of Chip. I will have to look him up.
If anyone doing 3-foot kickflip backside ollies on vert is no hands.
Wow. That's pretty impressive. Do you still skate? Still, Stu?
No, I haven't for a
skate?
while, but
No?
yeah, I did get back into it with the kids.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's just hard. I did a lot of shift work, so it's just hard finding the time.
Sure.
But I'll get him back. I want to start them back up again. So
don't go too hard too soon.
it's because he
what
stopped pressuring me as well. Like
He's pressuring you?
No, he usually gets on my back and goes, "You come and skating, come and skating."
yeah,
He's just
for
given up on me.
Has he?
So
To
now
get
that's
that
why.
point, there's only so much rejection you can get,
Oh, you'd be used to it.
Yeah, I know. I know that.
But that got me going.
Thanks
a
for
lot.
reminding me.
You're very welcome. So, look, one of the other things that you big into, Steve, and I'm not sure everybody knows this, but probably a lot of people know, is collecting skateboards.
Yep.
Yeah?
Yeah, one of those nerdy collector types.
Well, you've got a pretty impressive collection. When did you get into it?
In '99, I was, and I had no real desire to be into collecting, for any sort of thing. I was in England, and one of the guys that I skated with, he showed me remember the first Gon's face?
Yeah. Like kind of aha looking thing.
Yeah. And he showed me that, and he goes, "Oh yeah, there's a place in Dorset, and they had them for, I think it was 20 pounds or 30 pounds, which at that time, apparently the guy from the place in Dorset, he bought out a distributor in like about 5 years beforehand. He bought, I think it was $2.5 million worth of stock, and it was for like, he got it for like 200,000 or something.
Shit.
And I found out about it, and I thought, you know what, I wouldn't mind getting a few boards and that. And what I wanted was that board, the Monty Nolder, which he didn't have.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get, the Gons, what do you call it? Flower Power or whatever they call that.
Yeah.
So I wanted that, and
Leisure suit.
yeah. And then I asked him to send me, what he had. So he sent me an email and got all the boards. I started ticking boxes of what I wanted, and then I thought about it, and I thought, well, I should just buy 5 of this or 6 of that, and I sell them, and then if I get the money back to pay for that collection, that's a great idea. So I bought, I think it was £4,500 worth, which at that time the dollar was 2.5 to the thing.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, so it was over 10 grand worth of boards I bought, which was, even at that time I thought, you're a fucking bit of an idiot doing that, but you know what, that's what I wanted to do.
Sure.
And I got about
you weren't with anyone else? You didn't have any money to spend it on?
No. So it was about 140 boards I bought initially. Yeah. So I bought those, and then over in England I traded a few, and
as you do,
and I thought, you're making $20 here, $30 there, and then I decided to come home, and I came home and surprised my mum for her birthday because I hadn't been home for 6 years. So which was kind of cool. Like, I came home and they had no idea. I sat in my sister's pantry and waited. It was Mum's birthday, and my sister said, "Oh yeah, there's there's wine in the pantry." And went in there and I go, "Hey, surprise!" And they were just like,
"Fuck!" It's the one you didn't kill her, with surprise.
The old man freaking bear tackled me almost to the ground. He's like, "What the fuck?" That's awesome. Yeah. So, but I bought all those boards home, and then I didn't really do much with them for a long time. I met the girl that I bought a house with, and we, kind of buckled down for quite a few years trying to get in front of the house loan. Yeah. So collecting wasn't a big deal to me really for a fair few years, and I think about 2006 or something, 2007, I met Taris and did a trade for that, and I think the initial trade was like...
Are you sure it was that one? He hasn't drilled it.
Yeah, no, I got to him just beforehand. And so we did a trade that was, the first one was, definitely in his favour, and which was
a surprise.
Yeah, well, no, it was a good thing. So like he got I think it was a Kendall snake or something, with the, the rainbow colour through it and stuff, which was, I knew it was worth more, but it was good. And then after that, we just did heaps of trades between us, became good friends, and ended up with some great boards. And then I got on ASC.
Yeah, when did you get on ASC?
That was just before...
ASC, if people don't know, is Aussie Skateboard Collecting.
Yeah. So, it was just before I met Taris. I think either Matt Clark or someone like that included me, and I think it was only about 800 people on there, and it's about, what is it, 7,600 or something like that?
7,600 or something now.
Yeah. So, and then I was on that for about a year, and then they asked me to do admin, and then, you've been an admin for about a year or two yourself now.
Yeah, what's the prospects, don't you call me?
Yeah. I won't bullied.
It's like an apprentice, it's like a work apprenticeship where you just get bullied.
But it's indefinite.
Yeah, you've just bullied forever, pretty much. So you would have seen collecting change a fair bit.
It's changed a lot now. Yeah. I mean, with reissues coming in and that, initially when I got into collecting, you'd be on Skull and Bones, and you'd be...
Which is a website, isn't it? Skull and Bones.
There was the PAL China site, there was Old School Skates, there was all sorts of... There was Skate Pool, I think was the English one, and there were a lot of different forums that you could get on, and you could still get boards.
This is kind of before Facebook and shit, or...?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was before Facebook, I think.
So it would have been little websites. Yeah.
And you would tap in, and you could get stuff super cheap. I remember when I first got into it, they were selling bugs and stuff like that, which I'm not a fan of at all. But you could buy 3 or something, and they give you the 4 free. And they had these crazy power sales that were the boards were $19 or something. Jesus. And now they're going for crazy money.
Too much.
Way too much.
Yeah.
You know, collecting's become a bit, you know, and there's a lot of people, you know, they, you know, on the site that they'll be like, oh, you know, skateboards are for riding. And I totally agree. They are for riding. But are you going to pick up a 1980s board that's worth $1,500 and set it up?
Yeah.
You know, there's plenty of boards to ride, you know. There's plenty of boards that you can go to a shop and buy, you know. So
it attracts a lot of interesting people. It's a very vast kind of group of people. I think you get, you know, people who collect because they want shit that they had in the past, or you want to get my old decks, and then people couldn't afford. There's people who get boards that they never could afford, so they get them, or they get boards that their mates have, and their mates have passed away, or you know, there's all sorts. And there's people who just buy fucking anything.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
And they don't know what they're buying until they figure out what they want to buy.
Yeah, exactly. So
now the other thing that you are quite heavily involved in is the swap meet.
Yep.
Every year, and I know that started up probably late 2000s, was it? Or a bit, 2012 or something, 2011?
I mean, yeah, it must have been roughly around that time. I mean, Tony Hallam did the first one in Brighton at Town Hall, and it was in conjunction with a sort of a display thing that he had. I mean, if anyone knows Tony Hallam's collection, it's like, you know, it's possibly one of the best in the world, you know?
Yeah.
He's got a lot of stuff, and, you know, I've seen parts of it. I know he's got a lot more stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel pretty privileged to see some of it, because it's, you know, not only with his collection, he's got stories that, you know, like he'll pick up a board and he'll say, oh, you know, I got this off Neil Blender, he did this.
Yeah.
You know, you could spend hours talking to Tony about his collection in his garage and this and that, and, you know, what he's got. And he, you know, takes you in, he's got all these helmets and, you know, on the things. And there's a story to it all, and I like that. I like the story that goes with the collecting.
Yeah,
so.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, and then from that, like, we're going to swap meets, right?
You go to swap meet. Yeah.
I was. My mate works for Unified, which is like a music, you know, promotion and record label, and he's quite close with the people from the Corner Hotel.
Yeah.
And he was talking to Mitchell, who was the manager at the time, and they started doing a few swap meets. I think they did a bike one or something like that.
Motorbikes or something.
Yeah, either motorbikes or push bikes or something. But they did one, and then said, oh, you know, my mate's did a skate one, you know, or he was involved in a skate one.
Yeah.
He said, oh, well, next time he's down, I'd love to chat to him. So I was down there one Saturday arvo, and we were just having drinks and a bit of food, and, you know, it was pretty laid back. And then this guy Mitchell goes, oh, can I have a chat to you? And I was like, I haven't been raucous. I haven't done anything. I'm not getting kicked out, I don't think, you know, but it could be for any sort of behaviour that I've done before. Who knows, you know. But no, he's cool, and Mitchell was rad, and he was just like, oh, you want to do a swap meet? And I said, I do, but I said, let me put the word out. I said, to the people that I know. Yeah. And I'll see what I can get done. So I messaged Tony and Taris and a few people that I knew were already involved. And everyone's, yeah. So the first one we had upstairs, and it was, you know, it was a lot, you know, smaller than all the others, but it was still pretty rad. It was, you know, and it was the start of something pretty cool, you know. And then we did, I don't know how many we've done now. Like, I think it had to be 6 or 7. And, you know, now we get the whole band room. You know, we've had bands play there too. We had like 2 times that we had some punk bands play. We had Adam Hacking's band play, Public Liability. Kirsty's band played. Boz band played. Amiga, I think they were called. So, and then, you know, we've always got Con.
DJ Con Dodgy,
yeah. So he was the DJ at Oxide and that. So, which is bizarre because there was Oxide at
in
England too. Yeah.
So it's getting bigger each year, it seems like, at the moment.
Yeah.
And more people coming along.
And the last couple of times I've tried to make it a bit more family friendly with doing, you know, kids colouring comps and, you know, guess the Skittles and this and that, and just trying to make it a little bit so that, you know, a parent can bring their kid and they can go, you know, and like literally, like I just man that corner now, and it's pretty fun, you know, the kids just do their shit and they have a ball, and the parents can walk around and they could check out, and it's done, you know? Yeah. So, yeah, it's made it a bit, you know, I'm just trying to think of more ideas to make it more.
And look, you've said to me a couple of times too, you know, because I know that Aaron and I have kind of said, hey, let's do some video stuff and let's go live and let's do all that sort of stuff. But the conversation we've had, I really like it. You keep saying, no, let's just keep it as it is. Let's just get people to come in.
Yeah, and the reasoning behind that, and just so that people know, is the fact that if you do have it interactive and stuff like that, and people go, you know what, I don't need to get out of bed. I can just go on my phone. So it doesn't give that community feel. It doesn't give that, everyone gets together and has a drink and meets the people instead of just going,
knowing people online. You get to meet people face to face.
Yeah. And so many people that, I've never met before.
Yeah.
Are now guys that will come up to us and go, hey, yeah, you doing? Yeah, and it's all through the swap meets and then we become friends who are skated yourself, Aaron, Taris, all that, and that's how it's come about.
No, I think it's a good move. Totally a good move to do.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, when's the next one on?
I haven't actually done anything, to be fair. I'm thinking June.
Yep.
I will get in contact with the corner soon and try and
hold that to you.
Yeah. It'll be June, July. It normally is. And it's a good time for them. I mean, it really has to work in with the pub because the pub don't want you there when they're going to fill the pub anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's got to be, it's like a trade-off. It's like a sponsorship, If you're not bringing anything to the table for them, why would they want to do it?
Yeah, that's fair enough.
So,
that's fair enough. Now, you mentioned before, and I know that we talked about this during the week. I know that you had a relationship with a lady, and it was pretty awful.
Yeah.
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 And it's almost like you were a victim of domestic violence.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I was really. I mean, there was. I had to get an AVO against her at the end.
Yeah.
Because she turned up kicking, punching doors, and carrying on and whatever. When I lived with her for 4 years. We had a house. No one's is completely innocent in any of these things. There's many things that I probably could have done that wouldn't have made her flip her lid and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I spent a lot of my relationship fixing patched doors, and she'd throw a remote and go into the wall. She'd, one of the times she'd rip my hair and stuff out of my chest and things like that. And
was there violent, like punches thrown and stuff?
No. It was like she'd strangled me a couple of times. She spat in my face.
Yeah.
When she started seeing this other bloke, I think she was trying to get me to do something so that she could get an intervention order. So
because you weren't married, but you bought the house together.
We bought the house together.
Yeah, so you were in a de facto relationship of some sort.
And then when she was seeing these other guys, initially you hurt when they start seeing someone that.
So you were living in the house together at the same time, which would have been really hard.
Yeah, it was. 6 months, and it wasn't good times.
Yeah.
And after a while, I honestly didn't care. I wanted to buy the house.
Yeah.
Or sell the house, or do something. I just didn't want to be around her.
You were problem solving. You were wanting to reduce the fucking distress,
and she dragged it on and tried to make it worse and tried to, make that thing. But hopefully now, apparently she's married and all that. I've heard some bad stories about that, but that's only hearsay, so I'm not going to, dwell on that. But hopefully from that, she's learnt something too, because, going to court and all that and having to get an AVO against someone is never a nice thing anyway.
It sounds like you were kind of like, from what you told me in your relationship, you were kind of stepping on eggshells anyway.
Oh, for sure.
Different times, because, she would be quite
I'd come home
changeable and...
Yeah, she was terrible as, she'd say to me, hey, great, we can have a few drinks tonight. And I'd just go, knowing very well that it could go really pear-shaped really quickly.
Really? Okay. And what sort of things would happen when she drank?
She would just get fully angry and just, lose it and throw things. And, it just, she just couldn't, she had problems with anger. And the more I kind of didn't engage her, it made her even angrier.
All right, so she wanted to fight.
Sometimes,
she wanted to fucking
she'd be in
argue,
my face, and she would do it in front of, mortifying. She would do it, when you're out or something like that.
Yeah.
And so, and I just didn't dig on that. So, there's a lot of times I would leave and go to my mate's house.
Yeah.
And then you come back and you're thinking, cool, she would have calmed down, but she was stewing the whole time, and it was just the second you got back in the door, it was, you know.
Wow. How long did that go on for?
Well, we were together for 4 years, and then it was. I mean, I saw the starts of it early on.
Yeah.
You know, my first birthday. You know, like, oh, she was sitting there talking to her friend, and I was at the bar, and it was like me, my friends, and their wives, girlfriends, whatever. There was only one single girl there, and I'd met her once. She came with a friend, like, and half an hour goes down, and I said, "Yeah, come and meet everyone. You know, like, have a drink with us, blah blah blah." And half an hour, she goes back. She goes, "Yeah, I'll come over in a sec." Then her friend comes up and she says, "Oh, she's gone, you know." And go outside. "Oh, you know, you're flirting with all these girls." I'm like, "They're my mates' wives. They're, you know, like, I've known some of these people for 20 years. It's like, if you actually introduced yourself and talked to them, you would realise there's no, you know." And she was a very sort of jealous sort of person with any sort of
Insecure,
feeling.
maybe, and
Yeah, and I think down the track, like I said to her, like at the end, which didn't really win much affection, I said, "Oh, the only reason that you had insecurity problems is because that's how you think.
right.
You know, she cheated on me, and it was just like, you know, and bringing that up didn't, that's probably not a good idea. Like I said, no one's
But
innocent
I think you know, psychologically, it's quite insightful. You know, like you project onto others. You know, maybe the things that you would do, or that you would be
don't
scared
poke
of.
the bear, I think, you know.
Yeah. Probably don't poke the bear, especially when the bear's a total psycho.
Yeah.
Don't.
But yeah, I mean, like, I wish her well at the end of the day. Like, I honestly wish I'd never see her again too.
Yeah, I know, and I just like, I mean, we talked about this during the week, and I just think it's important to talk about, because I'm sure there are other blokes.
Yeah.
I mean, we hear about, you know, a very terribly, you know, men being violent to women all the time, but I think there's also a flip side of the coin.
Yeah, of course.
Sometimes, you know,
And that's the thing. It's you know, there's two sides to every story, and it's, you know, 95% of the thing is domestic violence is men against women, and, you know, like, it's terrible. It's like, you know, I really feel, you know, and the thing is, any guy who can stand up and make a change in that regard should, you know, but.
A lot of the guys is not reported either.
Yeah,
like you
exactly.
don't come forward, so really the statistics is not really
No,
correct.
they're not proper.
do you mean the girls don't report the guys?
No, the guy won't report. What
Guy won't
happens.
report
No,
domestic
like Steve
violence.
have that happen. He's not going to go.
Did you know that stuff was going on?
No, I mean, I would have heard stories. I can't really remember
but,
the time.
I mean,
but
everyone
yeah.
has arguments.
Yeah,
Like,
everyone
you know what
has
I mean?
their
And,
stuff.
and you sort of downplay things too, because, I mean, you're with the person. You don't want to say,
Yeah.
"Hey, the person I'm in love with is fucking."
A nut.
Yeah.
And it is really loose and
Yeah,
it's
and I
dangerous
think a lot of women who have come from that background would realise that too. You know, they do make excuses for bad behaviour.
Plus, I would have judged him as well. I would have
Yeah.
gone, "Oh, you was silly."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, no, that's so true, isn't it?
But, you know, actually, I mean, it's funny you say that, because the cop that came over, there was a man and a woman cop came over. And he came in, and I told the story, and you could just see, he was like, ugh, whatever. And,
Oh, really?
Yeah. And
So
he
you
was,
didn't feel like you listened or took your side or
no,
even
and he was more
acknowledged
interested.
it?
He goes, "Oh, wow, look at all these skateboards, oh," you know. And
Yeah.
he's like, he goes, "Can I have a look around?" And I go, "Yeah, of course you can," you know, like, and he's looking at it, and he goes, "Oh, I used to skateboard back in the day." And he had no interest in what I was saying.
Fuck.
And so she sat
You
down.
do have a pretty impressive deck collection, though. Like, it would distract
Yeah.
anyone, I've got to say.
It's that thing.
It's true. Yeah.
But she was.
But anyway, back to you. And your
she was
domestic
very
violence.
sympathetic to it. And she
Yeah.
goes, "You wouldn't believe how many."
Oh, the lady was the lady copper. Yeah.
Yeah, she said, "Oh, you know, you wouldn't believe how many of these that we get, you know." And I said, "You literally just missed her by, you know, 10 minutes, like 5 minutes."
Yeah.
She like kicked and punched the door, and
She was in full flight.
my neighbour across the road had actually rang the police.
Yeah, wow.
And-
Well,
and-
you know, you've got a big street, so it's
Yeah.
like it's a while away to hear
Yeah.
it. So she must have been carrying on.
She was going crazy,
Yeah,
and I rang the cops too. So they got 2 calls, so they were there very quickly.
Yeah.
And she was out the front. I could see that, you know, like, and I was trying to keep my dog from stressing out, because, you know, all I'm hearing is kicking and punching the door. She broke the door and stuff like that. Like, it's not normal. And yeah, then the cops turned up, and yeah, she was saying, you know, this is becoming more and more frequent.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, obviously, like Chipmunk said, that a lot of guys won't go to it. And, you know, I didn't want to go and do that route ever. Like, I would have just gone, I would have preferred to just move on. You know, it would have
Yeah.
been a lot easier just to go, "Oh, yeah, it was a shit 4 years, but hey, check you later.
Does it take its toll on you as far as relationships go? Like, do you think
Probably. I mean,
like,
probably.
it's affected you longer term, you think?
Yeah, I mean, probably does. I mean, like I'm probably a bit more guarded than I would have been back in the day. I was pretty open when I was younger, and probably a little bit like I see, like things, and everyone has bad days, and I might have, seen something in a girl that could have been a potential partner or something like that, and gone, oh, I'm out of here.
Because you thought, oh, here we go again.
Yeah.
So you're kind of primed
Yeah.
to look for it in the first place.
Yeah.
But then sort of you go, danger, Will Robertson.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go here. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you can actually see it and you go, you know what? No.
There's a reason you're still single.
Yeah. But they could say the same thing about me, what I
True,
mean?
but like I've said this to you before. I think you are one of the nicest guys ever. You're a gentle nice.
Oh, you.
And I said I'd let you. I'd let you bone my sister, but she's a horrible bogan. So,
Wow. Just wow. Pawning off your sister.
no. I guess what I'm saying to you is that so if someone says, "Look, I think you're good enough for my sister," you think they're a decent guy. So I don't think my sister's good enough for you. So that's what I've been trying to say.
Oh, I hope your sister doesn't see this.
She would laugh if she saw it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Good.
But a lot of it's quite true. Yeah. So, Steve, I think it's been great to have you on here today. Do you have anything else you'd like to say about skateboarding?
Not much. I mean,
What do you do now, skate-wise?
well, in between injuries, like,
Well, mostly injuries, and then
Yeah.
in between the injuries.
I mean, I love skateboarding probably as much as I did when I first started.
Yeah, you're full on.
I live for it, it gets you down when you can't skate, and
Yeah.
that's the only thing for me. Like a lot of people say, oh, especially at work, I say, oh fuck, you've broken another leg. Are you worried about? And it's always in the back of your mind after an injury. But as soon as you get that taste of doing those tricks that you enjoy again, or like a simple frontside grind or something like that, I mean, Chippy knows, like it's so addictive, and that's why we're getting you back on the board very shortly.
Yeah. It's a shame they made all the ramps bigger. They was a nice
No
size.
pressure.
Yeah.
Oh, don't worry, we skate small ones too.
Yeah.
I'm petrified of the big ramps now.
Yeah.
Like 14 foot is just.
Yeah,
It
too
just
much.
seems,
Do
and
you
I can't
think-
pump it properly.
Do you
Yeah?
think though?
I just find that I'm just
Goes forever.
yeah.
Do you think though, like as we are all getting older, sometimes you just need to back off a bit and sort of skate within your limit, and especially if you've got injuries as well.
To a certain degree, but I mean, the beauty of why you started skateboarding, for me anyway, was that cross of adrenaline, fear, and being on that edge of making it and not making it.
You've just described every turn I make on the bowl.
But yeah, I mean, that's what turns you onto it. If it was an easy thing, or if it was like something that you just turned up and you just went,
Yeah.
it probably wouldn't be as exhilarating.
And there's some risks, some danger involved.
Definitely. Yeah.
And I think, more so now than ever, there's probably, I mean, don't get me wrong, there would have been a lot of a social aspect to it when you're younger, but you were just finding out what was social and hanging out with people and practicing social skills and fucking walking on fire and doing stupid shit and blowing crap up and...
That was the best part, was being around everybody.
Yeah.
Like different ages as well. Like everyone just
trying to fit in, being part of something,
You
were a
would know,
group.
like, when we'd go up to Vermont, and like sometimes you wouldn't, we'd skate for an hour, we'd be there all day, and then we'd have, plum wars or, when they had all that dirt, like we'd go in James' car. And
I didn't get a Guernsey on it, but whatever.
You did so, surely you did.
No, I got watched. He wouldn't let me in.
He plays a good victim too.
No, well, there is the socialising aspect of it. Like, and you were kind of saying, Stuart, you were a bit younger.
Yeah.
So you were like a bit of a grom to some of these guys,
Yeah.
But not for long.
No, but it was still a
For
pecking order,
ages, for the rest of my life, I reckon.
Yeah. He's mentally
Always felt
scarred by
lower.
it. That's
It's
why.
such a
Always
lie.
looked
And
down
look, I
on
can
me.
think of that too. Like,
He
like,
got so good so quickly. And no, that's not no shit. Like I got some photos and like, and you would have them too. When you're doing like Ollie's a fakie and your body's tiny and you're in like on that what was it, Frankie Hill?
Oh, the
board?
Frankie Hill, yeah.
And there's like the board looks the size of him. You know what I mean? And now that wouldn't even be one bicep on him.
no.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Has to be
So, but I
this.
think the social thing's really. I think the social thing's really important when you're younger. Like I can think of younger people that were in our group too, and they they copped it.
Yeah.
Like they copped it from, you know, they were the youngest one, or they were not so much the runtiest one, but, you know, we'd always have them doing stupid shit, or we'd be throwing them in the fucking wheelie bin and throwing them down the transition,
Well,
or
Brad got
Yeah, it went
kidnap them
down the
Brad
thing.
copped a lot of it from Luke and Davo and, you know, all those crew as well.
It was the best part, though. I mean, I remember my dad come up the ramp and I was tied to a pole as Brad's whipping me.
I remember Alex Gibson, and he, you know, when the library came in, and I don't know why he did it, because he knew nothing good was going to come from it. He tied his belt around the thing, and then we tied the belt to the back of him, and we pushed him, and he could only get his toes down, like, because there's like a bar that was there. He could only get his toes down the middle, so you just push him, you go, "Did?" He just keeps swinging, and that went on for 15, 20 minutes, where we were just like...
torturing this kid.
Yeah, it was just awesome, and he's wedged completely up.
Like got a wedgie, like right up his asshole.
There's a belt around his belt. So, and it's like on the thing.
Up. Wow.
And I'm like, why did you let us do that? It's never going to end well.
So you skate as much as you can now in between injuries?
Yep.
Yeah. You go to a lot of skate stuff because it's pretty much part of your life.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so you're pretty active in the scene.
Yeah, I got a lot of
Seems to.
bands too, and the music sort of came with the, you know, getting into skateboarding.
Didn't it? Like, absolutely.
You know.
And you're into bands, you're into music, into collecting.
Yeah.
Is there any part of your life that isn't involved in skateboarding?
Well, I mean, you know, I like collect pinballs and things like that. I spend a lot of time with my dog now. Like, you know, I've always been an animal person.
Yeah.
We've always had dogs our whole life, and I'm, you know, like I'm just as happy now being sitting on the couch with my dog than going to a gig or whatever. You know, if I'm not skating, I'm with my dog.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's rad.
What's his name?
Ruffy.
Ruffy.
Yeah.
Keep going to call him Rusty. It's
Yeah.
Ruffy.
So.
Thanks, Steve, for coming in.
No, thank you.
Thanks, Stu, for coming in. Really appreciate it. It's great to get to speak to you and hear about your stories. I'm really lucky because I get to hear them several times. But it's great to have you on. Tell us your side of growing up in Melbourne and skateboarding.
Cool. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us for this week's episode of Their Side. Soon to be with you again with someone else down the track.